Open your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind.
Hours of power, hours of power, hours of power, hours of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, see, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost at $1 billion. Three PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hears these sirens and looks in the mirror and sees this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the price of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passed him by, he said, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, Paul. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Huh? Why do you think you never pick up the paper until you read over and over and see white families? You think it's thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families crying as black cops shot my loved one 40 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops are that? Think they're more spiritual? Think they're better? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that any time a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license just like you used to drive a car. And if you use it wrong, then you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to push that through? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, if we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, huh? Well, what happens now? Black Fifth Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Weston House. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power, hours of power, hours of power.
Happy. San Antonio, Lincoln 6. Go ahead. Clear suspect down, 10-4. That's 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have one suspect that's been shot.
Open your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind. And peace, folk. Welcome back to another edition of the Popular Thought Series right here on the old T.P.O.T. YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why your black asses are here. Tonight, special show tonight because y'all know, we're doing things a little differently. I'm about to bring some new faces to you and bring some faces to you that you haven't seen in a while. But as you can see down in the description, we will be revisiting the Gray Faulkner Initiative. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but we will be going through it tonight. I had Brother Faulkner and the Professor Cerulean was on my show, I believe, back in 2019. This was not long after they had put it out. We talked about it then. So I thought it was a good time to, bring it up and, see if they see any of the things that they put in their initiative 3-4 years ago. I did hit up the Professor Cerulean. I hit him up last week. He should be here. I did hit up Brother Faulkner as well. But even if they don't show up, we're still going to go through it. All right. All right. But y'all know, before we get started, I always start the show off with thanking you good folks for your likes, your shares, your views, your subs. And of course, your hard-earned pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and 50-cent pieces. Because I realize you don't have to do it, man. You don't have to show up to these goddamn streams. You don't have to like these videos. You don't have to share them. You don't have to sub to this channel. And you definitely don't have to drop your hard-earned coins on this platform. But you good folk, continue to do so, man. Night after night, week after week, you are here when you could be anywhere. And I want you to know, man, I don't take you lightly. I never have and I never will. You got my word on that. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm appreciative, man. And I'm thankful to all you good folks. All right. That goes for the good folks who hang out there and the good folks who hang out up in here. I'm thankful for all you good folks. All right. All right. So let's get at it. Oh, and I see Brother Royston has joined the page. So when you join the page, Brother Royston, you get this.
Outstanding. You just joined the page? Cool. You know it's appreciated.
Appreciate that, Brother Royston, joining the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. I appreciate that, brother. But yeah, we're going to go into it. And I see my man, Brother Art is in the house. What's good with it, Brother Art? Brother Stoic is here. Brother Obadiah is here. Infantry Skills is here. 1,800 abortions per day. Brother Little Rock is here as well. Free Zone Lou is in the house. What's good, Brother Free Zone? Yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and get into this, man. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Let me see here. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. It's kind of crazy because I have this on one browser and this on another. So let me see. See if I can do it, y'all. Damn, I ain't even got the right shit up, y'all. The wrong damn thing up here. Hold on. Got the wrong damn thing up here. God damn it. Got the wrong shit. All right. There we go. God damn. The wrong shit up here. Had the wrong goddamn window open in the whole nine, folks. Yeah, but what we're looking at now is the Gray Faulkner Initiative. And like I said, I don't know how familiar y'all are with it, but like I said, I had the professor and I had Brother Faulkner up here, and we were talking about it, man. You know, I'm not going to I'm trying not to read the whole thing, but I'm going to go through a few things, like the forward, for instance. Um, I'll read that. It says, in the United States, there's a massive, grossly neglected issue with wealth and resource distribution. The maldistribution limits the amount of available opportunities disenfranchised groups, but specifically Black Americans, and even more specifically, Black American males, has access to. It is the single greatest impedance to Black American life. It stagnates at times, inhibits the ability of Black Americans to accumulate wealth and resources and to take advantage of opportunities, which are ever decreasing as this maldistribution of access persists. It also impedes the ability to provide stability and structure for family life, which is the most basic institutional foundation of all humans. And of course, I agree with that. I'm gonna go ahead and blow this up, y'all. Not just for you Negroes, but for my old tired eyes as well. Yeah, so this is what we got, right? We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna skip down, right? Now, here are the objectives of the Great Faulkner Initiative. Number one, increase the amount of opportunities available to young Black American males. Number two, correcting the severe underrepresentation, misreputation, and lack of institutional positioning of Black American citizens. Number three, to improve the condition and quality of family life, security, and direction of young Black American youth. Number four, to incite and inspire cultural change in Black American community as it pertains to the way we perceive various American institutions and influence a change in the Black American community's aversion to them. Number five, to provide a point of focus in order to properly affect policy that affects the Black American community. Using the Neely Fuller Jr. approach to sociological diagnosis, there are 9 overarching areas of human activity. 1, military. 2, law. 3, labor. 4, economics. 5, education. 6, politics. 7, entertainment. 8, religion. 9, sex. Now, if you go down here, the Great Faulkner Initiative gives you a chart, a graph, and as you can see, all the things I just mentioned earlier, labor, military, law, economics, education, politics, sex, entertainment, and religion are all connected to government here, right? So let's read this stanza. It says, because government regulates and deregulates these areas of human activity through legislation, if there's an issue with the maldistribution of wealth, resources, and opportunities, then it is the burden of the government to correct the impotence. However, it requires a push from a critical mass from the citizenry to exercise the creative will to influence, or dare we say, force government to take action towards correcting it. The question again, who holds this power and how can this power be acquired? The answer by now should be apparent. The government only does what its population allows it to do. And I believe that to a certain degree. Okay? The government does only do what the population allows it. All right? Because we vote these folks in, we also can vote them out. So we do have some degree of influence over government if we press. All right. All right. I just got a message from the professor. He said he need a little more time. He's on his way home now. So I guess he'll be coming up soon. That'll be good, because I'm pretty sure he can do a better job of explaining the Gray FAULKNER Initiative than I can. I'm just kind of skimming through it and reading it to you good folk, all right? So they know more about it than me. They wrote it. But we're going to go ahead and go through it. We're going to skip over a few things because it is kind of lengthy. We go down here, right? And here they talk about one, military law, labor, economics, education, politics. Now, notice here, military, male, law, male, labor, male, economics, female, education, female, politics, female. Right? Now, what it says underneath that, it says to have an equal yet targeted focus, we must divide the burden of pursuit of this initiative along gender lines according to each gender's strength and weaknesses. This is not to say that these should be exclusively male or female. However, it is a recommendation that we think should be strongly adhered to. These are the institutions that always receive a steady flow of public government funding. These are the institutional pillars that are critical to a nation, and it requires all 6 pillars for a nation to stand. So first they go into military, right? And it says, the military is a gateway to stability, structure, discipline, specialized training, and access to a plethora of opportunities which are grossly lacking in the Black American ADOS community, and especially amongst the males. This can be attributed to a myriad of contributing environmental factors, from fatherlessness to poverty, unstable home environment, etc. Now, we know that all of that is true, right? Poverty, not having a dad, you got an unstable home, all that stuff kind of has an effect on who you become. People try to say that it don't, because somehow you just outgrow it when you get to be 20 years old. And now all the shit that happened to you in your life, the poverty, no dad, a dysfunction in the crib, none of that matters. Yeah, none of that matters at all. But it says here, however, whatever the contributing factor, all environmental factors have the same thing in common. It is the maldistribution of wealth and resource opportunities which impedes access to opportunities. The primary reason why it is suggested that the Black American males, ideally 100,000 per year between ages 17 and 27, should and must consider the military, is because it is an easy economic decision to make, and one of the best ways to tap into America's wealth, resources, and opportunities that are often scarce among the Black American community. Now, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree that brothers between the age of 17 and 27 should consider the military? Now, it says on the initiative, should and must consider the military. So they believe you definitely should consider it. Do you good folks believe that? Should brothers be considering the military? Now, I have a lot of people in my family that were in the military. Shit. One of my nephews and my uncle, they actually retired from the military. They made it a career. All right. They were in the military like forever. And they often said pretty much the same thing that you see here in the initiative, that, young men should get into the military. It's a stepping stone into the middle class. You get the training, you get the opportunities, you get the discipline, you get to see the world, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think that's a bad idea for more brothers to go into the military. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. especially the ones who ain't doing shit with their lives. They're laying up in mama house with no job, no money, no aspirations. You don't own anything. You ain't invested in anything. You ain't trying to hustle nothing. You're just down in the cellar all day long playing Call of Duty. Your time would probably be better spent in the military, I think. That's just me. So I agree with that. It is one of the few American institutions, number two, one of the few American institutions that has the capability of taking boys and girls from varying cultural, ethnic, educational, and racial backgrounds and transforming them into a diverse yet operational and cohesive unit. Yes, that is true. Right? Right? They take people from all over the place, they stick them together, and they turn them into a team. They turn them into a crew. They teach them how to work together. Right? They teach them how to work together. They give them discipline. So that's not a bad thing, right? Especially if you're coming out of a place full of dysfunction and despair, and that's probably what you need in your life. You probably need some discipline in your damn life. But let's continue. Number three, despite the stigma of the military, it is a very family-oriented environment. The benefits of service also extend to your family members who are dependents. For example, if a serviceman or servicewoman gets married, there are provisions to ensure that while the service member is deployed, their spouse and any other dependents are taken care of. The provisions are titled basic allowances, one for housing and another for sustenance. And there is that. You got a family, your family will be taken care of if your ass is in the military. Number four, because technology has advanced to a state which increases the survivability of frontline fighters. In the case of black men, they are actually much safer on the front lines than they are in urban centers. Let me repeat. In the case of black men, they are actually much safer on the front lines than they are in urban centers. Due to over-policing of urban areas, a young black male is 3 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than their white counterparts. In fact, more black men have been killed by police officers than have died fighting the global war on terror. In fact, police officers as of 2016 have killed more civilians than the number of soldiers that were killed in action since 9/11. Damn, I didn't know that. According to analyst Kit O'Connell, in 2012, Americans were 8 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a terrorist. Well, that makes sense. If couple that with the sheer number of black men killed via gun violence stemming from an intercultural conflict, in contrast, the military is one of the safest places to be as a young black male. Well, let's talk about that. Now we see, we all watch the news and we're all on the internet. Oh shit, I see brother Faulkner, I sent you the link, brother, if you want to come up here. But let's talk about that, right? We see all the killings on the news and in the internet and all that kind of shit. We see how many people get killed per year. We can pull up the stats, man, of how many people get killed, man, in the streets of Chicago and Baltimore and St. Louis and in New York and in Florida and in California and in Texas. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We can go on and on and on. And I'm pretty sure more brothers have been shot dead by way of another brother than some terrorists or somebody that the United States is in military conflict with. I'm pretty sure we've killed more of us last year than any of those people did. But we've been taught by the architect of the Great FAULKNER Initiative, the one and only Officer Faulkner is here. What's good, brother Faulkner?
Hey, how you doing? See, I like to call Cerulea the architect. I'm the salesman.
Oh, okay.
But it was a joint. But it was a joint. But it was a joint effort because the reasoning behind it was that when people were complaining about police brutality and things of that nature, and I said, why don't your black ass become the police? Take the initiative, pun intended, and become the police. And I said this to people because we have a level of ignorance when it comes to police tactics and military science in the black community. We rather assume than confirm. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of times when both militaristically and paramilitaristically, we have these assumptions instead of having people actually guide. And once Cerulean and myself had a conversation after those classic BGS hangouts, the Coliseum, we just came up and started brainstorming like 3 hours after that. Well, he was doing the 8 hours, but 3 hours after that, we were brainstorming. And Cerulean came up with the thesis, and I started putting in more input myself. And every little bit of things we were putting into it, and voila. But this is when you're talking about the issues with policing and black people, it's a two-pronged issue. One, we're raising very emotional young men. Not strategic, not masculine, very emotional. Guess what? Like you said the last time I was on your show, the street is not the courtroom. That's not where you fight and plead your case. Two, you have to change the culture of the police department. The quickest way of changing a culture is changing the people within it. I.e., if you have more black cops, they're going to be more empathetic, not sympathetic. There's a difference. One means pity and one means felt. I understand, I comprehend. And when you actually take the black officer and he looks at that black boy and he says, I was in that same dumbass thing, he's going to be like, look, you're up here on these streets selling drugs, give me the goddamn drugs. Maybe he might even kick you in the ass. But at least you didn't have a record. He didn't abuse you. And it's funny because I remember in Baltimore with the school police officer who slapped the hell out of the kid. They made a big fuss about it, but yet these are the same kind of young men who mom's afraid of. I can't do nothing with him. So as long as you sanction it, it's okay to kick that boy's ass, right? But we don't like to talk those heavy, real conversations, do we? We don't want to put that up there.
Well, brother NYC says something here. He says, if you plan to grab young folk at age 17, quite often it is too late.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes and no. Even though I do believe in what Frederick Douglass said, it is better to build strong boys than to repair broken men. But he never said give up on broken men, did he? How many of us?
No, didn't.
How many of us actually fucked up in life? Let's keep it real. You know me for years, right? Right, X?
Yep.
I could be so articulate it's damn near Shakespearean, or we could be on some grand old nigga shit. I'm gonna take it to the nigga shit for a minute. A lot of us fucked up. And a lot of us, by the grace of God, whatever God you serve, or whatever ancestors you're from, looked out for you. If you give up on a 17-year-old, and that's the fucking problem in this country, as soon as a boy is not cute enough, as soon as he's not talented enough, you just throw him back in the goddamn wilderness. But then you say, why can't that boy get a job? I'm going to tell you the same shit I told my ex, who's now a sergeant. How the fuck can black men get a job when you won't hire them? Riddle me that one, Batman. Hell, I'll say it again. Riddle me that, black man. and woman. You'll see in Baltimore, we have something called the Greenmount Corridor. And Greenmount turns into York Road once you hit a certain peak at about the 4100 block. It turns into York Road. You have nothing but a lot of storefronts, McDonald's, Burger King, Popeyes. But who's hiring them? You'll notice in Advance Auto, you'll see more females. What the fuck they know about cars? But nobody's willing to give that young boy a chance. So what are we gonna do? You're supposed to see, everybody's supposed to push that girl to go to education. Where do you go to learn to be a man? The streets? It's not too late. Is it the most optimal? No, but it's not too late.
But isn't it some truth? Like, because I think the Great Faulkner Initiative is great. I think it's a great thing. If it was implemented, if just half of it was implemented, I'm pretty sure we would see a lot of changes inside Black society. But isn't it true that, you know, if you get a kid who's 17 and all he's lived is dysfunction, it would be a lot more difficult, you know, to kind of bring him in or, you know, kind of work him into the initiative, as opposed to a kid who may not have lived in, you know, said dysfunction.
Contrary to popular belief, 90% of our kids live in fucking dysfunction.
Yeah, but some more than others, though, right?
Let me continue because I'm gonna comment. Black bourgeoisie says black men are being hired. They're working everywhere. Fuck out of here. You just saw in the news they talking about they have 10.5 million jobs and they're still not hiring black men. Get the fuck off of here. It's not even my channel, but get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, because all you do is come to these channels to be contrarian just to be fucking contrarian. You don't fucking have any results. You don't have any fucking well-due thoughts. You're just one of them assholes. That's all you are. If that was true, it's costing the fucking country $50 billion. And the answer, what you just said, X, there's a lot of people who went to the military and they were fucked up, and the military straightened them out. There's a lot of people who went to jail, and some OG looked out for them. Ben Carson, anybody? I mean, you never know what you get till you fucking try. See, you got to realize this. Does the Jew give up on the Jew? Does the Italian give up on the Italian? But as soon as we get this holier than thou bullshit, you know, perspective. Well, this kid, he may not be a good fit. Sometimes you got to be trained to be a good fit. Sometimes if you give a person enough training, it's like you remember the old martial arts movies. A lot of those guys couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. But you know, the one thing it showed you was perseverance. That's why you go through a crucible or an FTX in the military while you're in training. Because you got to put all them damn skills together you've been putting together for 2 to 3 months and show that you can work as a team. I don't know if you were listening yesterday when I did a stream that said the biggest L's black men have to hold. And one of them is teamwork. We don't work together.
Well, Brother Faulkner, as a law enforcement guy, you know that, you know, some people are just lost, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've locked up a lot of lost ass people, and you've also probably locked up people with potential.
And guess what? A lot of people thank me for locking them up because it could have been worse. Maybe when I had to throw you to the ground and lock your ass up, you like, okay, this shit's now real.
But what I'm saying is that,
and it's kind of
there's
funny
those of us out here who are just, you know, that we don't have a mission. I mean, there's those of us out here who are older than 17. You got people that's 30 that ain't trying to better themselves or live a better life. They still in mom's cellar and all
And
some
here,
kind
here
of
you get, and
foolishness.
here you got Dre up here. Here comes the victimhood. What? Black people can't be victims. We can't be victim of crime. We can't be victim of circumstances. Yes, the country victimized us. See, idiots like you don't want to admit that because you don't want to be called that black man over there. When all your little white friends are calling you nigga behind your back. But anyway, we're gonna look at it this way. Like X, let's say you were at a job and you fucked up royally. You go in front of a supervisor that's like, you know what? I'm gonna give you a second chance. I'm gonna dock you a little bit, but I'm not gonna take your whole check. Lessons can be learned because there's some things you gotta pay for. Now, is there a hierarchy in it? Sure. But to totally give up on people when you haven't tried to help them, that's a little fucked up. Now, if
Well,
that person continues to be a fuck up, there's places for them.
yeah, you gotta leave them behind. But do you think that a person should have to be convinced that they need help? Shouldn't a person already know that, they have to know that they need help before anyone can help them? You shouldn't have to convince them that they need help, right?
In most cases, yes. In some cases, no. Like I said about the L's, I think a lot of black men need to listen to that live stream I had yesterday. Because it's a pride thing. A lot of times you have a lot of pride. A lot of times it's because you just don't know. I mean, think about it. How many black people just don't know?
Yeah. But what does that come from though? Because your parents are supposed to prepare you for being out in the world, right? They can't teach you everything, but they can teach you a lot of things that would be helpful, especially as you become a young adult and eventually get out there on your own. Your parents are kind of supposed to prepare you, what lies before you once you're out and about in the world. So I
But you got to
mean,
remember the capabilities of the parents. Are all parents created equal? No. You're giving everybody this middle class lifestyle. Majority of black people do not live in that. A parent's going to do a decent parent's going to do the best that they can do, but we got a lot of we have a lot of kids who are in homes, and guess what? The parents are not as highly educated. Hell, even in white homes. That's the crazy part.
So when we talk about the initiative, the Gray Faulkner Initiative, is it for everybody or is it for the people on the lower socioeconomic scale? Is it for the people who are in the hood or the
It's for
people who?
everybody.
It's for everybody. Okay. So if it's for everybody, you know that certain people, because if you live in a neighborhood, right, and it's a poor neighborhood, and most of the people around there live in poverty and shit like that, that's probably not the most cultured or disciplined, or those are probably not the most congruent environments for someone to inject structure into, right? You'll probably be better off if you're given this opportunity to someone who, if you put the Gray Faulkner Initiative in front of people who are living in poverty, and you put the Gray Faulkner Initiative in front of people who are living say a middle class life, I think the people in the middle class would probably be more receptive to it than the people who are living in the impoverished parts of the world, right?
Unfortunately, to black bourgeoisie, most black people are not in the middle class.
Yeah, but some
But
are.
some are. But here's the question that I noticed, and the way you phrasing it, that's a fascist way of thinking. Very fascist
way of thinking.
That's a fascist way of thinking. If so, that's like saying, should poor people still have rights? Should poor people not get the opportunity if they score high enough on a test? It's for everybody, because guess what? You don't pick who you don't pick what situation you're in before you're born, do you?
No, you don't. You can't pick your
So
parents.
so if you give it to the people who need it the most, some people are gonna make it, some people are not. Unfortunately, that's just probability, but it's for everybody. And then you got people who are in middle class or higher who don't make it.
Mm.
Think about it. You talk about the drugs in the hood. Go to those well-to-do families, and there's more crack and opioids there than in a motherfucker. You know why? Because they can afford it.
Mm. It's true. That would make sense. But the people who would need it, who would need to implement this initiative the most, would more likely be the people who live in these hoods where everybody getting shot and the dope, and people are living impoverished lives. I mean, this initiative would be better for them because they are in more need of it, aren't they?
Yeah, but let me ask you this question: who are the biggest opponents to Black boy progress? I'll
Hmm.
wait. I'll wait for that answer. Who's the biggest opponents to Black boys press? And guess what it is? It's usually their mothers.
Of course. I mean,
It's usually the
you,
Black feminists.
you
You
already
don't
know
you
what I
don't
think about these old mammies, but
you don't need the white man anymore to call you nigga. You got a lot of these people. You got a lot of these sisters out here who will tell their sons go work at Giants, but he wants to be in the military. He
mm,
wants to do training. If I could grab five good guys, five decent guys who can understand, and make them over $100,000 a year doing a high risk security overseas, what's the difference? Well, it's dangerous. Me living on the streets in poverty is even more dangerous. If you don't give a chance, if you don't give a way out, then there's no reason to have the conversations anymore, is there?
mhm.
You got
Well,
you try.
I want to talk about this because I want to go to because I did the military. I want to talk about the law enforcement part of it. Oh, and shout out to D Scott with the $2 super chat. He says, "Woo!" Must be a fan of Brother Faulkner. I appreciate that, brother D Scott. You get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform.
I'm getting.
Appreciate that, brother D Scott. Yeah, we're gonna go. I want to just read a little bit of this here.
Mhm.
Um, it's about half the page down. It says, "It is difficult to perceive police any other way when young Black American males are arrested or incarcerated at a rate of 3 times higher than their white counterparts, and more often than not receive more severe sentencing than their white counterparts for doing the same crime, and more than 3 times more likely to be killed by police than their white counterparts. Protesting and rioting so far has not been efficient or effective. I agree. We propose a more proactive approach. However, it requires the Black American community to take action in the proper capacity. By proper capacity, a policy is implied. However, in the recent decades in the Black American community, we have become more focused on the political Super Bowl, i.e., the presidency, than the regular season, i.e., local politics. If there's a problem with the way laws are enforced in your locale, city, or state, those are not issues the president can solve. However, they are issues that can be solved by local mayors, city council members, judges, district and city or state's attorneys, and governors. A more effective policy and practice would be to push for law enforcement pipelines in order to have more Black American officers on the police force that live in or are from the affected community of which they serve. So let's talk about that, Brother Faulkner. Do you think
Mhm.
more brothers should be becoming law enforcement brothers like yourself?
I'm gonna say it like the last time. Yes. First and
So
foremost,
what do you,
who's the first
what do you
person you're
think
gonna
stops it? What do you think keeps brothers from joining the
send us?
force besides, having felonies and shit like that? I mean, what keeps brothers from saying, you know what, I want to become a police officer?
Stupid ass loyalty to stupid ass people. You're gonna be loyal to people who said, "Well, we can't hang around you if you're a cop." But at the same time, I remember doing the Freddie Gray riots. They like, "Yo, you should come over here, brother." I said, "Okay, how much am I gonna get paid? Are you gonna take care of my son? Are you gonna give health care? What you mean?" So you want to come? You want me to come to your side, but you're not offering me anything just to come to your side. You want me to do all this stuff for what? Well, what's the alternative? And that's the problem. A lot of people in our community, one of the biggest L's, we don't support each other. We don't say, "Hey, that's a good look for you." A lot of time it's because the representation and the past that black people had with the police. But they forget that a lot of the issues with policing actually went down when they increased more black police officers.
Hmm.
But people don't rather believe the sensational lie over the simplistic truth. Well, the black cops try to show out. Since when? There ain't
Yeah,
nothing.
there
There ain't nothing.
there is that though, brother Falk. I mean, because I've seen it, and maybe I'm just speaking anecdotally. I mean, when I was
That
a young
happens.
guy
That
getting
happens
pulled over
so.
by the police, and if one of those cops happened to be black and he with a white partner, now if both of the cops is black, you probably won't have too many problems. But if he got a white partner, they have a tendency to act up, brother.
I'm gonna tell you the craziness of it. It happens so rarely that it's almost funny. And black people, it's funny because I remember this one time pulled over a car. Nobody was wearing seatbelts in the whole damn car. Pulled them over, and they try to tell the white guy I'm being racist. And I overheard them. I said, "Let me ask you something. How the hell can I be racist or prejudiced? One, I'm black. Two, do I have the political power to affect you and black people as a whole? No. Three, did I pull you over because you're black, or did I pull you over because of a vehicle violation? Were you wearing your seatbelt? Well, no. So let's start with there. Why is it that you try to make an excuse because you got caught in the wrong? Well, and trust me, I got more time on than him. So who the fuck am I gonna show off for? Even if he was my supervisor, I don't show off for him, whether he's white or black. My supervisors actually respect me because I would give them challenge. So this whole showing off of white people, this ain't the first time I've seen white people. Ain't nothing fucking special about them either. I've been around white people more than most black people have. I've actually wrestled internationally in freestyle wrestling, and there's only 2 black wrestlers on the whole tournament out of 120 wrestlers. So white people do not hold any mystery or wonder for me. They're nothing to show off for.
Well, shout out to my brother Nick Taylor with the $5 super chat. He said, "My big brother X and the officer of the goddamn law. Woo! I would probably make it a week as a cop, and I'd be behind bars." I appreciate that, brother Taylor. You get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform. And shout out to brother Gabe A with the $5 super chat. He said, "I think the biggest thing that kept me out of law enforcement and the military was safety and pay. I didn't want to sacrifice either in my career." I appreciate that, brother Gabe
And
A.
he
You
was,
get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform.
And
But
yes,
how about
yes
that?
to tell
How about
Gabe,
that?
and just to tell Gabe, yes, you're lying because of the comment that I caught you on. You're lying like shit. But go ahead. It's safety and pay. We've lost more people in certain cities than we did in the global war on terror.
Mm.
Okay, so that safety bullshit is out the window. Well, you're much more safer at a war zone than coming out of your goddamn houses a lot of times. And it's funny because if you take pictures of fucking Lebanon and some parts of fucking insert urban area here, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. But
So
how about
go ahead.
What Brother Nick Taylor said? He said, I would probably make it a week as a cop and I'd be behind bars. I've often thought that too. I couldn't be the police. I'd be done shot one of these stupid Negroes talking crazy
No,
out there.
no, you. People
I'd
say
be
that
done
a lot, but
shot a couple of
but you wouldn't
them.
because it's part of the job. Like you'll actually predict what they're gonna say. Oh, let me guess before you say it. Oh, I'm fucking with you, and blah 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 blah. Why don't I do this in the white neighborhood? Well, I just came out the white neighborhood and I stopped them too. Yeah. So okay, now let me see. What's the next thing you're gonna say? Is it because you're black? I look at my skin. Hey, we're even. Okay, let's go back to the next one. Because a lot of guys will talk shit to you, and I'll be like, look, you got the right to say whatever you want, but you put your fingers on me, I'm gonna give you the work of God.
Yeah, I'd be done
And
shot
guess
a Negro, man.
and you wouldn't have shot him. You just look at him and be like, you just look at him because it's called for the course. You'd be like, yeah. Like most people are cowards. Most people are. You know, they put this as long as you believe the perception of bravery, a lot of people out there are not gonna bust a grape.
Mm. Yeah, that is definitely true. But it says here, it says, conversely, to become a police officer does not require a long legislative process, only that the person be qualified. The minimum requirement is a high school diploma as long as the applicant does not have any of the following: felony convictions, serious misdemeanors, current drug use or past drug abuse, dishonorable discharge for military service, bad credit history, which is not always an impedance, history of domestic violence, not
Yeah.
clean driving license, not always an impedance, unreported past crimes, past or current gang affiliations, poor employment record, not always an impedance, incorrect, false, or incomplete information given on the application form. It says most Black American males qualify to be law enforcement. However, because of this impotence of the perception stemming from us versus them mentality, many Black American males are adverse to making the attempt to become one. Furthermore, because there are too few Black American law enforcement officers, the field of law enforcement continues to be viewed in the Black American community as adversarial. To change this perception, there is no better way than to encourage more Black American males to become police officers. There has been efforts to improve relations between the police and the Black American communities. However, they are received as shallow and false attempts to pacify the Black American community, usually following negative media exposure after the police have committed a major transgression. To fix this impotence, it is incumbent on Black American males to become police officers and begin serving their own communities. This increased police community relations in various ways. So how about that? There's not a lot. What can government and law enforcement do to actually reach out to brothers and say, hey, look, y'all need to come join the force? Because I know here they do that.
Well,
Here in Mecklenburg, they actually reach out to people to try to get them to become law enforcement.
You gotta have the Explorers program, which is basically like the equivalent of the Boy Scouts for police, and or the Girl Scouts for police. Two, you need to open back up POW centers. because when you have a PAL center, that's going to be probably your first iteration of looking at a police officer. There's a lot of kids who are going through things that they can talk to that officer right there in that PAL center, and a lot of issues they're going through. Two, I think a lot of citizens should go on ride-alongs. It clears up the air of ignorance. Like, shout out to my boy Leon, may God rest his soul. He passed recently. He was a correctional officer because he met when we actually went to high school together. I was actually his class commander in ROTC. And my boy Josh, who was a cop, he had a challenge. If everybody has a issue, come take me up on the ride along challenge. And Leon took him up and he said, wow, y'all go through some shit. and it also sparked an interest for him to get into law enforcement with the correctional system. So it changes your mind when you actually have seen boots on ground what police go through. A lot of times we like to look at it like police live these separate lives. Like one time I'm in a restaurant eating breakfast and this one guy stupidly said, I didn't know y'all eat. We're human, dude. Like, I didn't know y'all eat. I didn't know y'all come to places like this. Like, y'all eat. People actually think of us as this robotic. and it's crazy because a lot of times you got to take away the air of ignorance. Like there was a guy who was a pastor and he was a community leader, and I think it's still on YouTube, by the way. He was invited for a scenario training. He was given a gun, badge, of course it's semi-munitions, which is, if you don't know what semi-munitions are, imagine paintball but faster. Stings like a motherfucker though. So they're out and he's in the scenario. There's two guys arguing, go. That's what he's given. You know what that pastor did? Do you know the same pastor who argued about the police? He tried to talk to the guy. He took 2 steps back, pulled out the weapon, and shot him 3 times in the chest. And the instructor asked him, why'd you shoot him? Well, he was coming towards me. Was he a threat? I'm not sure. So you're blaming officers for the same thing you just did. And he's like, wow, I never knew it could go that quick. I said, think about it. I got to have more restraint and perceive things faster than you. You get 30 seconds or actually 5 seconds, and you can have up to the Supreme Court for 2 years to judge you and Monday morning quarterback you. Is every decision going to be a right one? No, unfortunately. That's how the world works, probability. But once you take away the air of ignorance and actually include the community, which is one of the big things I'm a proponent of, and put them through scenario training, get them through ride-alongs, get them through community, meetings. Because a lot of times in the Black community, we don't think that we need to do our part in it. And a lot of times for years in the Black community, we'll throw trash on the ground with the mindset of thinking, well, somebody's going to pick it up. What if the next person has that idea? What if the person after that? So yes, you got to do your part to protect the community.
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree with that. I wanna skip because I want to get through all these tenets, and I don't want to read the whole thing because we'll be here all night. Mm-hmm. But I want to skip. I want to skip over to labor, and it says the environment of skilled and unskilled labor opportunities is ever shifting. This is for a myriad of reasons. However, the Black American community, for the most part, has been unable to keep up with those ever-changing environmental conditions as the changes come more and more rapidly than the previous shift. This is also wholly due to maldistribution of wealth and resources. As employers shift to a more automated format, a trail of unemployment is left in the wake. Therefore, it is imperative for Black the Black American community to make the shift towards STEM fields ahead of the environment. Right now, the labor market is still in an aqueous transition. Therefore, Black Americans must take the shift rather rapidly before the labor market solidifies. And the Black American youth of this current generation are left with an even larger impotence, being unprepared and unable to compete. Fortunately for us, there's already a great deal of momentum in the Black American community that have already jumped out ahead of this tremendous endeavor. We must all get involved and support financially in order for it to be successful. So, how about that? Like, I mean, we already know that there's not enough of us in, STEM fields. That there's not enough of us. There's
not even close.
not. Yeah, there's not.
Shout out to
Um,
Dr. Dunbar, Dr. Nicole Ali.
yeah, there's not enough of us. But I would venture to say that there's not enough of us in the blue collar fields. I mean, there's a significant amount of us there, but I think it should be more of us in not just the STEM fields, but also
I'll,
the blue collar fields as well.
I'll answer that in two. I'll answer both in two different segments. One, the reason why you don't see a lot of us in blue collar fields is the reason why you have unions.
Mm,
When Reconstruction started, the end of slavery, beginning of Reconstruction, who was the skilled people?
Black folks, of course.
So they were getting, notice how all these places were coming up and they were being financially successful because we were skilled and we were heavily needed.
Hmm.
So out of jealousy, they attacked multiple cities and they started unions to blockade black folks from getting those jobs and starting their companies. That's why when you look at the union, people always talk about the police. I said the shit, the unions did worse. They economically castrated you. And yes, I do believe in a good skilled tradesman. I believe that my belief is very similar to Dr. Umar's belief as well. You should get a trade, then you should get a degree.
Mm,
Because that trade is going to be able to pay for that degree with no debt.
yeah.
And if you're an electrician, but you get a degree in mechanical science, good God, you're pretty much Tony Stark.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we as a people do not guide our children. We give a lot of free rein to them and not guide them. Like, look, stop trying to get a fucking degree in grasshopper reproduction. I got my PhD and what? Useless degree number 275. I can understand if you're going to be a scientist, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, or if you're going to the higher levels of law enforcement where you have to learn how to command a very large department or group of people. Okay, I get that. But how many degrees are we getting in the black community that are fucking worthless? They're obsolete 5 years after you get them, or probably by the time you graduate with it. So yes, you're going to have to go look towards the future. Look at the mechanics. You're getting all these electric and self-driving cars coming out. Don't you want to be ahead of the curve? Don't you want to be one of the people who actually can build or fix or repair some of these new houses that are coming about? Now, in the Gray Faulkner Initiative, we'll never look down upon people of skilled trades. We need you. Because if it wasn't for people in skilled trades, the world wouldn't go around the way it does. But at the same time, you still need that higher level education in the medical, legal, and scientific fields, and those technological fields. So you gotta kind of like guide your children into something where they can find work immediately after high school, and also complement that with a degree.
Yeah.
If
Because
that makes sense.
what good is having a degree, man, and you're not even working in that field, man. I've met people who they're freaking they have a degree, you know, in sociology and shit like that, and they're working as a fucking secretary. It's like,
Exactly.
you know, you got this
I,
degree, but you're not even in the field. To me, that's stupid.
I had an ex-girlfriend who had a communications degree, and I'm laughing because she was working with the CIA,
Mm.
and she's a paper pusher. She wasn't a field agent enough, and I'm just like, you did all this just to push papers around, and then she got her master's, and I said, what the fuck you get your master's in? Well, communication something. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're gonna be in fucking debt for what? I had another ex-girlfriend. She's going through trying to get her master's now. To get her associates was about 20. To get her bachelor's, add on another 40. Now, you know who I'm talking about. Now, add on 60 to her master's. I'm going to college now. Guess how much I'm paying? Not a goddamn thing. Matter of fact, they paying me.
Mm. Yeah, man. There's a lot of I think a lot of us dig ourselves in the hole. I'm looking at Brother Kwafi's statement here, and he says, I think skilled trades and certificates are better, although educated myself with degrees, experience outdo education a lot of these days. Yeah, I say that a lot, man, because I went to a technical college when I was a young guy. And, you know, with the shit I learned, a lot of the stuff that I learned in technical college, I mean, I probably could have learned it in some type of vocational program, because a lot of the shit I learned, you talk about a person who was in college in the 80s. Um, a lot of the shit I learned is like obsolete, man. I've had to update my shit like every couple of years because of new technology, different heat variances, different measurements, different specs, different spec measurements, different bore measurements. I mean, a lot of the shit that I learned when I was a young guy is totally obsolete. I don't even use most of the shit now.
And it's funny that you say that because, you know, I see that Rob, is that Rob who said that?
Mhm.
Shout out to Rob. What's up? Extended Clips. We had a good interview with Extended Clips last night as well. And it's funny because he has his chapter 31, which is the vocab educational, which I'm so fucking jealous of. And this is another reason. I didn't file for benefits for disability, and I have disabilities that I could file, which I'm doing now, putting it in the computer. Because, you know, I was diagnosed with PTSD, of course, because I was in a war zone. I was part of the QRF. So when you're kicking in doors, waving the M4, yes, you're going to have PTSD. Plus, I was in the time when they gave us faulty earplugs. So ringing in the ears, that's another disability. Hey, you got a shaving profile? Another disability. Just 10% will send you to any school in this fucking nation. 10%. You, your kids, your wife, go to school for free and get paid to go. And like, I'm going to say this because I'm going to reiterate this one part. Black people, we leave too much goddamn money on the table. We really do. When
What
it
do you
comes to the
mean?
military, when it comes to the military, police, we leave a lot of money. Fire departments, STEM, we leave a lot of money on the table. We have been brought up not to focus on 10 years later. We're focused on the here and now. We don't want to put in our due diligence to say, you know what? If I got to go put in this work and this labor, these 6 to 5 years to get this damn degree and this master's and get this goddamn high paying job in STEM, no, that's going to take too long. And then when you think about it, it's just like being in basic training or the academy. When you're going through it, it's the longest fucking process ever. But once you graduate, it's such a distant memory. And we leave too much on the table. Like right now, I told my buddy who was at the Capitol, who works at the Capitol Police, he's an officer. I told him after January 6th, y'all gonna get a lot of funding. You're gonna see a double, if not triple, the amount of officers. And look what else is going to happen. You're going to get better training, better weaponry. And he says, everything you told me last year, he's like, I'll be damned. Y'all doing it. He said they're doing it. So a lot of times people have to get these skills. And you know what? Shout out to Judge Dre, because Judge Dre said the main fucking thing that my father went to diesel drafting school. By the way, my father dropped out of high school and got his GED and came within 2 points of max, and it went to the Marine Corps. And like all good men, you try to send money back to pay for the house, and your mother sells the house. So he went to diesel mechanic school and also drafting school. And he's also very skilled when it comes to plumbing, electrical work, laying down floors, bricklaying. I'm trying to figure out what the man doesn't know. Like Dre says, this is the reason why you need a trade with a degree. Can the government take away your license to practice law and medicine?
Yeah, if you fuck up.
Like if you fuck up or you get on the bad side of somebody with some power, right?
Yeah.
But can they take away your ability to be a barber?
Nope.
Can they take away your ability to be a plumber? And you're still getting what, $30 an hour, 40, 50, 60, 70, sometimes 100.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
Shit,
it.
I know a plumber who makes $140 a fucking hour. It's a fucking
exactly. 5-year apprenticeships. Think about it. 5-year apprenticeship, you're getting paid, and you're going to have a skill that lasts you forever. Hell, I'm starting a business where if you want to be in security, I'm trying to network with people where you'll be licensed in Georgia, Florida, and Georgia, Florida, and Texas.
Wow.
To do executive protection. Trust me. Wait, check out your local listings for the time and channel when that happens. So can't tell everybody everything though. So when you actually think about it, when you're doing executive protection, you're bodyguarding people like I did with Common. I made $700 on a Saturday and $700 on a Sunday bodyguarding A+ stars. Just for shits and giggles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you don't have these abilities, what I like to call is foresight and planning, you're just setting yourself and your children up for poverty. Yeah. Well, I got my degree in early childhood education. Okay, you do know that's a low playing field, right? I've always asked my ex this shit. I'm trying to do Cali, I'm trying to do Cali. And it's just so fucking liberal. But I asked her, she's a director of a learning center. She gets paid $60. So wait a minute. All these teachers, all these aides, even the cleaning and cooking staff are under your command, right? But you only get paid $60? Girl.
Yeah. I mean, because there's, I know, and I've talked about this before. I've had Brother BMT on, and we've talked about this, man. There's money out there. There's money out there. There's opportunities in STEM. There's opportunities in the blue collar field. The reason why I tout the blue collar field, not just because I work in it, but because I know for a fact that it's recession proof and it's also COVID proof. I mean, I tell everybody, man, when this COVID shit was going down and they were shutting down shit and shutting down shops and shutting down stores, guess what? I still saw roofers. I still saw plumbers. I still saw electricians, landscapers, asphalt guys, ditch diggers, cable installers. I still saw them. We were still working. I mean, COVID didn't do shit to us, man. When you're a blue collar guy, COVID does nothing. The only time it does anything is if your ass catch it and you can't work. But other than that, I mean, I didn't see any falter in the guys that I know, the landscapers, the plumbers, the contractors, construction
the police,
guys that
the
I know.
Firefighters, the people that are essential personnel.
Yep.
Why do you think
Y'all
I
think.
love between my father and other good friends of mine? I have a great appreciation towards those men who got to build their homes. Those are skit. See, this is funny, and this is the reason why the black community is going to have to come under new management. Damn, she beautiful. But anyway, sitting in the car, and you gotta realize that when 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 you're having discussions like this, and shout out to Nino for saying it's so educational. We don't think so far into like, look, you got to think like a king. You got to think like an emperor. You got to start your dynasty.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
think like a dynasty, man. Because really, even the people around me, I can't let you fuck up.
Yeah.
Because one, that's going to affect me. And that's how we should think as black men. The only people that's going to help a black boy is most likely a black man.
It's true. It's true. It's very true.
And
I
think
mean,
about it. Like every time we had a black man reach back, that's the only people that's gonna bring us up.
yeah.
Think about it. You don't even need as many teachers if you got mobile learning. A lot of things, a lot of people, and a lot of things have been exposed to how much we need it compared to how little do we need it. You know, and what you do for a living again, X?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
God bless you. You guys are like fucking. You guys are like fucking superheroes.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I'm a working engineer. I mean, when people hear engineer, mechanical engineering is so vast, man. There's so many different types of mechanical engineers.
you could
I'm
go
actually
from
I'm a working mechanical engineer. I don't walk around with a collar
that's
shirt
cool.
and a hard hat on and a goddamn clipboard all goddamn day
Yeah,
long.
it's fun. It's funny. It's funny because I got to retake my certifications for training people because I'm a certified coach. Like I can train you in the health. And I had
Mhm.
my young Panavong with me, and he saw me benching for reps 350, 375. I said, I'm kind of ashamed of myself. Before I got hurt, 4 was easy. But it's like I could train you and train the body to grow stronger. There's many different things that I was certified to give IVs, but even before I took the EMT classes this year. There is so much learning in the black community that, like I've said it, I don't I don't I don't do the Pookie and Ray Ray and the educated lame, all this shit. I call black men multifaceted. And the reason why it's multifaceted, whether if I agree with you or not, I'm pretty fucking sure that there's something you and I have in common somewhere. And then come to
Mhm.
find out once you talk, you gotta have several actually things to actually engage in and converse about. Like, wow, I didn't know you knew something about this. Yeah, it's one thing about it when you actually respect our differences and celebrate our similarities, things run smoothly.
Yeah.
But like you said, when you're in one of those COVID-proof jobs where you're an essential employee, the world's your oyster. Like there's people when I left my department, I'm just put even though I have offers to do high risk security making 6 figures, well over 6 figures, good God. And I just put my resume to different law enforcement agencies and say, okay, let's see what you got. Because once I become supremely skilled this year alone, I'm not even counting next year, this year alone, I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told my exes when they want to come back. You should have kept me when I was cheap.
Well, shout out to Brother Gabe A with the $5 super chat. Brother Gabe says most tech roles were COVID proof. We literally were working. We were able to work and social distance our homes tech is where the job market is moving to. I appreciate that, brother Gabe. You get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform.
Now that's
Now,
something I can actually. That's something I can, and it's rare, but that's something I can actually agree with Gabe on. Is that
yes,
a lot of
I agree with him too. I agree with brother
that
Gabe too.
those roles were so, because the world has to. You got people. You got three types of people. You got the people who make the world move, who knows how the world moves, and people who have no idea. You don't want to be
Yeah.
in the situation of no idea, because that's the majority. A lot
Yeah.
of people, a lot of people were not surviving well, and it should be a burning lesson. Like, when it comes to families, trust me, if COVID would have happened in the 50s when black people were at their tightest, we would have been the least affected in the country. You know that?
How so?
One, you put us in a predicament where we couldn't really spend money with you, so the money would be within our own community, right? Then on top of that, how many black people at that time had to rely on black services?
Yeah.
And like I know, white people are not known for their cleanliness, are they? So we would probably be the ones who actually cure a lot of the, or tamp down a lot of the COVID because we were cleaning their houses. And the one thing, I don't care where you're from or which your economic status, the one thing all black people agree: in bleach we trust.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My wife keeps multiple bottles of that shit up in here. Bleach everything.
and see, like Gabe, he said, you agreeing with me is not important to me. That's not why I'm here. Gabe, I'm going to tell you this in the kindest way. I don't give a fuck. My fuck dispenser is all out of whack. I don't know whether to give too many fucks or no fucks at all. I don't care. I just agree with that one statement. But back to fuck you again. But anyway, the problem with that is that a lot of times we have to get over the ego. The ego hems us up in this community like a motherfucker. Yeah. We need to actually see the truth for what it is and not what we want it to be. Look at how look how black people are most affected now because of COVID. We're separated. You have more money going out of our systems because guess what? You have more single women now. So if she has a kid, and let's say she has a kid and the guy, they both need and they're not living together, they both need housing. She's buying a house, he's buying a house, instead of combining the wealth. See how it works in reverse when you go back about 60, 70 years? So a lot of our buying power is split, or maybe even thirds or fourths. But continue, X.
Yeah, well, I just want to read this last page before we go to the other section of the initiative, and this continues with labor. It says another integral facet of labor. Sorry, y'all. Facet of labor encompasses skilled trades. Skilled trades remain as staples of not only the labor market but American society as a whole. No matter how rapid the labor market has shifted, skilled trades remain as pillars of the labor market. However, the current impotence of the various skilled trades are the various labor unions. Many of these labor unions are discriminatory toward Black American men. In response to this discrimination, Black tradesmen and tradeswomen have created a workaround, because having a skilled trade lends more versatility to the skilled trade person. They have the greatest potential to become entrepreneurs and offer their skills to the broader society, and at their own pace and price. Where the Black community falls short of the ideal, which has become a grave impotence, is in apprenticeships and apprenticeship programs for Black American males. The lack of these programs is one of the contributing factors to why Black Americans have had the great difficulty maintaining pace with the ever-shifting labor market. So what about that? Do we do we not have enough internships and apprenticeships when it
Even if
comes to
we
trades?
even if we had enough, I would still tell you it's not enough. Okay? We don't. Once again, you go to a lot of these places like I visit, like a lot of these workforce places. A lot of these young men, like I had to tell my young Padawan and a couple of his friends went to this job fair that I didn't know was there when I went to visit, and I got a bunch of brochures for them. And what's crazy is that we don't have enough because once again, when I talk about the biggest L's is that teamwork. We're scared to pass the torch on. You ever notice that? Look at our politics. Look at our senators. Our senators are damn near 90 years old. Who have they taught to replace them?
Don't want to let it go, man. They don't want
It's
to let it
like
go.
shit. They better listen to Love TKO. I think they need to let it go. And it's crazy because now, instead of guiding and molding the next leaders for our society, you're going to hold back all the secrets, and the secrets are going to soon die with you. All that wisdom, all that knowledge, all of that networking is going to die with you. And here's the crazy part, right? Some of these motherfuckers will have an internship for people outside their own goddamn race. Ain't that a bitch?
Now that's insane. I mean, if you're gonna have an apprenticeship, at least you should be looking out. Well, me, I've never hired anybody but brothers anyway. So I mean, if I was to start, because someone was telling me about that. I think it was Brother Art. He was saying that you can. He was saying that you could get paid for that. Now, me, I wouldn't want to get paid.
Many
I would.
many of the
I would try to find
internships
out what's
now are
going
paid.
on now.
Many of them are now paid. Almost all of them, really, because there's so much of a push because there's so many jobs that COVID's a beautiful thing when you think of it, when you look at pragmatism, because it shows you how vulnerable and how prepared you truly are. You don't have enough people in the electrical mechanical field, the plumbing field. That is white boy dominated. Imagine you get a whole team of brothers in those fields. Remember when I say giving a black boy a chance? That's why. Well, we're so quick to throw somebody off, but then you know what we do? We lose all our best and brightest to other races of people.
Yeah. Because I know guys who have roofing companies. I know guys who have landscaping companies, construction companies, you name it, man. Because I work on all their shit. I'm under contract for a lot of their equipment and shit. And it's crazy because a lot of these dudes that I know a couple dudes that are Italians. I know a couple white boys, just straight white boys. And I also know a guy he's Persian, and their crews are not white boys. They got brothers working for them. Yeah, they got brothers working for them, which I think is nice because the brothers, got a job that pays well. But the brothers that are working for them, the reason why these brothers are probably working for them is because they haven't been able to strike out on their own and create their own thing. And I also know brothers. All right. I know quite a few brothers who own big businesses. I mean, I know guys who do commercial landscapes, man, and these dudes got 20,000 goddamn square foot fucking buildings that they keep their shit in. And a lot of these guys, they have a tendency to hire other people. They have white boys working for them. They have Latinos working for them. So I just thought it's kind of odd that a lot of the white contractors hire brothers and a lot of the brother contractors hire white boys and Latinos.
Because it's another big L. Black people have a bad habit of undercutting your brothers and sisters. We want to be paid American wages too.
Yeah.
So the reason why, young brothers don't want to work in Giants, because Giants ain't gonna pay shit. And I don't care what century it is, provision is always going to be predicated upon demand.
Yes.
I got to quote Vito Corleone for a minute. Don Vito. Women can be careless, children can be careless, but men never can.
Yeah.
We can't afford to be careless. We can't afford to miss a dollar. Okay? So when we take on these low-paying jobs, guess what? At least can I become a manager? Can I become, an assistant? You know what I'm saying? No, you want to keep me as the fucking stock boy. And you'll let the female go and you'll let her become the manager. No shade to her, but I see what you're doing because you look at me as a threat.
Yeah. You want to keep me sweeping floors and shit.
You want me, you know what? Let's just say what it is. You want me to know my place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know everybody's not ready for me to talk like that, but that's all it is. And this is what, God bless a lot of the mothers in the community, but the best things you could do for your sons is to teach them how to fucking fly. Teach them to never quit. And teach them some perseverance. Hell, give them the best fucking fathers you can fucking attract.
Yeah.
Give them father figures. Hell, even if you got to pay the father figure, teach my boy to be a man and teach him to be successful. Because you know what? White women will do it. Asian women sure as hell will do it. This is another reason why, if you're skilled and knowledgeable enough about something, because other races of people will pay handsomely if you know something they don't fucking know or can't do.
Yeah. 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 I found that out. I mean, I just think often what happens is, and I've heard, I get this quote from Brother LAR. Shout out to the sage, Brother LAR. He says that, some of us, we're not even afraid of failure, man. We afraid of goddamn success. We afraid we're going to get out there and be fucking successful, man.
Did you watch my show? X, I'm going to tell you, watch my show from last night. One of the biggest L's is that we are afraid to succeed. Because we know once we succeed at something, there's much earned, there's going to be much given, and more responsibility is going to be given. What's the old adage? With great power
comes great responsibility. Is that what it is, though? Are we afraid of the success? Because we know once we get successful, it's going to be more shit to do.
Yep, and that's the part. Instead of, BGS always quotes me from this. When you have a heavy load, don't go to God Almighty praying for a lighter load. Pray to God bless you with a stronger back. And see, that's the problem. When you nerf the masculine principle and you make him more feminine, he's scared of danger. He's scared of pursuing. You're making a bitch out of him. And instead of actually looking for more responsibility in the military, the higher you go in rank, the higher in responsibility, the higher in pay. I have to do people. It was funny. Some friends of mine and people be like, damn, y'all get paid a lot. Yeah, because we carry a lot of responsibility and we got to do something that's typically dangerous. So yes, you get paid on your knowledge, training, education, the level of danger. Can people do your job? The average person cannot be a police officer or a firefighter or a mechanical engineer. Average people cannot do that job. A pharmacologist, a biochemist. Average people cannot do that. So when you want these exorbitant pay scales, but you only want to give average effort, that's called insanity, man. That's insane. Why are you scared of responsibility? It's like, for example, well, black men don't take care of their kids. Why don't you tell the black man, here, kid, I'm gone. You know why? Because you don't trust him. You don't. You act like if he gets the kid, you're gonna be the one in child support. Black men don't give a fuck about you. We will pay you to stay the fuck away.
Oh yeah.
So
Been
when you're not
been there,
when
done
you're
that.
yeah when I look at this, I look at it as a defeated mindset. Why we gotta do more? So it's just like you having more subscribers. You got to come out with more content. Look at a perfect example with Angry Man. He stepped his game up every little part of the way. You saw improvements to this. You saw improvements to that. And it's crazy because when you actually take upon those responsibilities, now you understand the position above you 2 times. In
Yeah.
the military, you're supposed to be able to do the job of somebody 2 ranks above you. Like there were times in the police department I had to command 2 squads. The supervisors were all out on something else. So I had to tell, like, look, this is what we the fuck we gonna do. Y'all don't go to none of these fucking calls by your goddamn self because everybody else is stuck on this one damn call and their cars are blocked. We all we got. You got to be
Yeah.
able to
Well,
communicate.
well,
Go
you're
ahead.
a natural leader. I mean, a lot of people couldn't do that. A lot of people couldn't just jump in there and be like, okay, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. A lot of people just don't. They don't have it in them, man, to just jump in
Even the
there.
people. Well, there's a difference between a leader and a supervisor.
Okay.
A leader leads from the front. The supervisor tells you to do everything from the back,
Mm. Well, some
from the
people can't
comfort.
even do that. Some people can't even supervise, let alone
Some
lead.
people
A
can't.
lot of people can't do that shit.
I mean, once again, I got to tell you this one thing. Was there a difference? Was there a difference between Michael Corleone and Sonny Corleone?
Hmm.
A great difference, right?
Yeah, there was a difference.
Look who lived longer. Look who made the family business and name even greater. You got to be
What
able to do it. Go
do
ahead.
you think that does it come down to a lack of leadership, especially when we're talking about young black males, right? Does it come down to a lack of leadership, or does
Yes,
it come down to these boys have had a lack of supervision in their lives? Maybe they
they
weren't
had
properly supervised as
they
kids. I
had a
don't know.
lot of supervision. That's the problem. They never had leadership. They had a
Hmm.
bunch of go take your trash out. Ah, ah, ah. They had a bunch of man shit put on them. But guess what? The one thing the woman won't call them a man.
Oh shit, y'all on a call? Y'all on a call right now, man?
Nah, that's the ammo
Okay.
just walked past me. But
Okay.
think about this. You get a lot of supervision in the black community. Go do this, go do that, go take this out, go to the store, buy this, blah, 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 blah. You never get the lessons to lead. How many black women actually ask their sons, what do you want for dinner tonight?
Hmm.
You know what you just did? You just made him, you're training him to make decisions.
Yeah.
What movie do you want to go see? Notice the difference between the white community and the black community when you're dealing with mothers. A mother is gonna say to her son, so what type of activities do you want to go into in the summertime? The black mother's like, I'm gonna put your ass in camp.
Mm.
So you're being supervised. You're just not being put in leadership positions.
Hmm. Well,
You're all,
let's jump into economics. Because it says here economics in the modern era is one of the central unifiers of all areas of human activity. It is essential. It is the essential tool required to maintain a stable and structured family unit, home environment, community, and even a nation as a whole, which depends on micro units of society, such as family and community, in order to maintain societal stability. Unfortunately, Black American males, who are the most negatively affected by the previously aforementioned impotence of maldistribution of wealth, resources, and opportunities, are most often the most unemployed group of any other demographic, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, when it comes to the case of Black American women, they do not have as high of an employment rate as Black American men. This explains why. Black American women have historically held the purse strings of the Black American community. By comparison, Black women are the most employed group by gender in the Black American community. And of course, y'all give the stats and the charts. And y'all need to go and check out the Great FAULKNER Initiative. You can get all this stuff yourself. I have this on my computer. I've had it for years. I've had it ever since, it was put out. Y'all need to go get a copy of it. Brother Faulkner, if you'd be so kind to put the link in the chat, and moderators, you can go ahead and spam it so people can know where to go and find it. You need to read it, man. It'll change your mind about some things. I know it did mine. All right. And I'm kind of just skirting through it now, y'all, because it's pretty lengthy, and I want to get to all of the tenets, folks. So don't be mad at me for skipping over shit. God damn it. Go get your own copy and read it yourself. But I want to jump now to education. And it says here, there are three historic pillars of Black American progress in the United States as it pertains to opposing systemic and institutional racism. Those three pillars are military service, academic excellence, and political participation. These three pillars have helped Black Americans make some tremendous social and economic and political advancement. However, there's still much progress to be made. Education has always been an essential and critical facet of American society, but especially so in the Black American community, and specifically in the case of Black American women. Black American women are the most educated, not only within the Black American community, but in America as a whole. Academically, Black American women earn more degrees by percentage than any other demographic. Therefore, they are the most qualified to fulfill their roles as teachers because they are the most educated and most degree demographic. There is no reason why they should not also be the majority of public school teachers within the Black American community. Now, I want to push back on this because from what I understand, Brother Faulkner, they're not the most educated, but they are the most enrolled, right? They're not the most degreed, right? But they are the most enrolled percentage-wise.
They're the most enrolled.
Say what?
They're the most enrolled.
Okay.
See, they're not the most degreed, they're the most enrolled.
Okay.
That's why we're gonna come out with the new international revised, like the Bible.
Oh, yeah, right. The new international version and shit. But let's go into it. Do you think that, well, of course, there should be more education where Black people are concerned, but let's talk about Black teachers. They say that Black American teachers make up less than 6% of all American teachers. And of course, the pie graph is here, folks. Racial breakdowns of America's teachers 2015 to 2016. As you can see, this big ass red part up here, folks. Oh, let me get this off of here, y'all. And this, God damn it.
Say that again.
No, I'm looking at the pie chart that is up here, and this big gigantic piece, y'all, is white folks. The big red part is all white folks. Now, this part here, the purple is Hispanic. I guess any race of Hispanic. A thin line of yellow for Native Hawaiian Pacifica Islanders. A thin line of light blue American Indian, Alaska Native. Then there's a stripe of blue here who are 2 or more races. And then the green here is black. And that's the makeup of your teachers in America, as per the production of this initiative. It says down here in 2015 to 2016, there were an estimated 3,827,100 public school teachers in the United States. Slightly more than 80% of them were white, while less than half of the students were white. And this comes from the National Center for Education Statistics. Y'all can go ahead and pull that up if you like, if you feel like it. Go ahead and pull it up for yourselves. So it goes on and it says, this represents a tremendous underrepresentation of Black American teachers in proportion to Black American population. Also, it's one of the clearest displays of maldistribution of resources and opportunities that grossly ignored and neglected impotence. And when you go down here, folk, there's another chart. All right. And it says here, Black women by percentage earn more degrees than their white, Asian, and Hispanic female counterparts, according to the data, yet make up less than a proportionate number of American teachers. It'd be remiss if it were not acknowledged that racism is a contributing factor. Well, how about that? Is it racism that causes it not to be as many Black teachers, or are Black folks just not going into education? Those of us who are degreed, are we not trying to become teachers? Are we doing some other shit? Are we becoming social workers and freaking secretaries at DSS and the light company and all this kind of shit, while they sitting there with they might have a possible teaching degree, but instead they're secretary at the freaking light company? Is there a lot of that going on?
Well, that's because a lot of us are not going to college.
Mm.
A lot of us are not going to college. So you have to have a degree to be a teacher. So, and right now they're giving, if you can go to the scholarships that they're giving for nurses, teachers, and STEM, they're pretty much paying your way. They're pretty much paying your way. So we're just not going.
Yeah, I mean, but see, this is the thing. People think that teachers would be better for Black people if the teachers were Black. I disagree. I think teachers would be better for Black students if the Black teachers were better teachers. I don't think just because they're Black, they're better. They have to be Black and better. Because, I mean, we got this thing where we say, okay, if a Black teacher is there, she understands the Black students better. She understands their struggle. She understands that they live in a dysfunctional home. She understands that they come from poverty. She understands all this shit. But a Black teacher, depending on where she works, she's not living in some fucking project or in some ghetto. I mean, she's probably firmly middle class, depending on where she works. You know, maybe she works in these ran down schools in the inner city, some fucking where, you know, where the kids don't got books and the fucking roof leaks when it rains. Yeah, she's probably not making that much money. But I mean, if she's working in a place where more people own homes, there's more families, there's more community. I mean, she's not, because I looked at the teachers' salaries, right? Even a teacher here in North Carolina, if you're a public school teacher, you're making anywhere between $45,000 and $70,000 a year. Okay, and that's in North Carolina. I mean, if you make $70,000 a year here, you're doing all right because the living is pretty cheap. So it's not like, she's this lady that's from the ghetto and, she got all these ghetto students. And because she's black, she can kind of, get into their minds and understand their plight. I just hate when people say that shit. I mean, if she's a good teacher, she's a good teacher. I don't think she's just a good teacher just because her ass happened to be black. No,
No,
absolutely
no,
not.
never that. Because we got to look at qualifications most and foremost. You got to be qualified. Like, you want the best person doing the best goddamn job. And realistically, a lot of black hiring practices is basically borderline nepotism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we wonder why we get faulty results. So when you're looking at the teachers, a lot of black men, because they're looking for male teachers, they will pay your education so fast. It comes back to what we talked about before. Excuse the noise. Okay, I got it. It goes back into looking at the scholarships. These schools will pay for your education, hands down, to become a teacher if you're a black man. But why don't you hear anything about it? People don't put shit out. Because once you put that out for black men, you're going to uproot white women from their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know
And
how
I
much
like
white women love us, especially when it came to voting. Go ahead.
I like this line at the bottom here where it says education plus opportunity equals excellence.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree. I'd have
Yeah.
to freaking agree. But we're going to skate on down. We're going to get to politics. And it says here on the Great FAULKNER Initiative concerning politics, it says politics is everything. All policy is institutional. All politics are rooted in local politics. In the arena of politics, it is virtually impossible to affect policy on a federal level. If we do not develop and amass a local and state level constituent base on the state level, it is possible and quite achievable to get a precedent set in a state that can be used for greater consideration of proposal on a federal level. Take, for example, Alabama setting precedent in a nothing short of incredible overruling of Roe versus Wade, which outlawed abortion in Alabama statewide, which has been made for consideration of a national dissolving of Roe versus Wade. Another example is the Minnesota state $15 per hour minimum wage law, which is now being considered for national legislation. Currently, Black women outnumber Black men in politics nearly 6-1. Therefore, that makes them excellent candidates for political base. Black women as a demographic group are overrepresented in politics. However, that is not a point of contention. I don't know about that one. Now, a lot of these black broad politicians, man, they're not focused on real black stuff. A lot of them are focused on, the Rainbow Coalition shit and a bunch of shit that doesn't help black men at all. Whether or not trans people can be allowed in the bathroom and all this kind of foolishness.
See, black women politically only think about themselves. They'll think about whatever group they think they could get over just to spite black men. And when you look at it politically, every time you put black women in those type of positions of power, you'll get Marilyn Mosby, you'll get Catherine Pugh, you'll get Sheila Dixon. There's always some type of bullshit coming with it. You'll never get a decisive, clear response to the epidemic of black boys' education. But you'll get some bullshit where, just like, look at Ice Cube. Well, what did you put it there for black women? Aren't black women black people? No. It is what it is. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm going to read one more page, and then I'm going to jump to the next section. It says, what is a point of contention is the representation is often used to fulfill gender-based initiatives that only benefit Black American girls, or party-based politics, while Black American boys are politically abandoned while they hold the majority of the Black American community's political capital. There has been a rising sentiment among Black American women claiming there's not enough upwardly mobile Black American men to marry. However, it has never been considered that this is the long-term effect of focusing too much on gender and party-based politics and not enough focus on policies themselves that affect the Black American community as a whole. What is required is it is incumbent on Black American women to use the political capital they already have to open doors of opportunity for young Black American males. You can do this by using the political influence you currently have by creating homeschooling alternatives, pipelines for employment for Black American police, EMT, EMS, firefighters, STEM, or removing discriminatory zoning laws that prevent Black American youth from going to better schools outside of their zone. So how about that? Is it that because we know that Black women vote more than Black men? We know that Black women vote 90 in the upper 90% Democratic most of the time. So there is a modicum of political power there.
Yeah.
That political power has been focused in the wrong directions, though, according to the Great FAULKNER Initiative, that it is more connected and tethered to political party and gendered based politics,
Yeah.
party-based politics. So could there be a shift? Is there any way to shift that train of thinking, that train of thought? Is there any way to shift it and have these women use that political power to, I don't know, turn the screws on local politicians, because that's where it's going to start, right? Turn the screws on local politicians and get them more focused on.
You're gonna have to boycott them. Force them to do their job and boycott their endeavors.
Well, it's been often said that, as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, they just take Black folks vote and support for granted anyway. So they're never going to do anything for Black people because they already know they got them in pocket.
Well, they do things for Black women.
Yeah,
but they do things for Black women, and what we need to do as Black men, we need to boycott that shit. Take our talents to South Beach. You must start your own political party and siphon off your political power away from theirs. Until they're ready to meet our demands for Black boys in education, we cannot be in the same party. Sorry. I mean, predominantly is the plan. If we find women who are capable, then we'll support it. But till then, we can't. Because it's like giving weapons to your enemy. Why are we going to vote because our women vote? To make them happy? No, they don't give a fuck about you. Until they do, you got to boycott.
Especially when they're the only ones benefiting from, a particular political, party or political, a particular political apparatus. When they're the only ones benefiting from it, I don't think Black men should be, I don't think they should be in hook, line, and sinker for the simple fact that, this is what they're expected to do. I don't think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's the best thing for Black men. I believe Black men should vote for the issues. I don't believe they should just, be led by the nose, by women, for the simple fact that we all black. I mean, you as a black person needs may not be the same as my needs as a black person. So I think we got to stop with that shit, thinking that, just because we all one color, that we all have the same goddamn, we have the same needs, we have the same aspirations, and because that's not true.
Blind
That's not true.
loyalty usually gets people killed. Okay. We don't even ask what's their agenda. We need to vote to get Trump out. Really? Really? That's all you're voting for, just to get Trump out.
Yeah. I mean, and it's crazy because, but before Trump became president, right? I mean, I heard a lot of shit that he was going to do. I heard everything from he was going to, kick all these chicks off of welfare all the way up to rounding up Negroes in Chicago, which, by the way, none of that shit happened, by the way, none of it. All right. And everything in between that. So, of course, I agree with the Great FAULKNER Initiative when it comes to particular politics. Federal politics have a tendency not to affect you immediately. What your mayor does, your city clerk, your county executive, your freaking governor, the shit they do affects you tomorrow. So I'm all in when it comes to the Great FAULKNER Initiative, where they talk about doing things on a local level, because that's where it's ultimately going to start. You have to start there, and then these things, I guess, could work their way up into the federal level. But you got to start at the local level, because those are the things that's going to affect you tomorrow. Very few things that Joe Biden does up there is going to affect me. And if it does, I probably won't feel it for a couple years. What Roy Cooper does, I'll feel tomorrow. What the mayor does, Vi Lyles, I'll feel that shit tomorrow. So I'm more into the local politics, because local politics, my business rides on it. I mean, that's where my licenses come from, that's where my contracts come from, that's where my permits come from. They don't come from the federal government. They come from the state, the county, and the city. So, Joe Biden ain't gonna have no effect on what the fuck I do tomorrow morning. None whatsoever.
The only way that it can affect it if it's a executive order.
Yep. Joe Biden ain't gonna have a damn thing to do, because when they were shutting people's shit down, man, during that COVID shit, Donald Trump's name wasn't on those orders. Roy Cooper's name was. Vi Lyles' names was. All right, I didn't see Donald Trump's name on none of those damn papers. They were sticking on people's doors, telling them they got to keep the shit closed. Donald Trump's name wasn't on one of them, not one. So that's something to think about, folks. But we continue. What we must do in conjunction. And y'all got to forgive me, man, for skipping over this, man, because it's a lot, man. And I wanted to kind of, just kind of get the basic tenets of it. Maybe we'll come in and we'll do another one down the road. But it says what we must do in conjunction. There is a rising sentiment in older Black American males who think it's not their responsibility. We're going to talk about that. They've become uncaring, unconcerned, or apathetic. However, there is no solution in doing nothing. This is about rallying our collective human capital from all across the social, economic, and class strata in a nonpartisan effort to improve the conditions and quality of life for young Black American youth, and more specifically, Black American boys, whom have been the most negatively affected demographic by institutional disenfranchisement. And we want to do this without alienating Black American girls. Inaction only further contributes to impeding the progress of the Black American as a group. Therefore, doing nothing or not wanting to get involved is not a solution. It is incumbent on us to create and support community-based micro institutions for programs such as mentorship. Despite what the mainstream wants you to believe, mentorship does work. Having a male figure there to just talk about male issues is sometimes enough to stave off and prevent those young men from falling into the state manufactured traps such as mass incarceration. It is important for boys to have their own male-dominated spaces and structures, those that are created by men who have a sense of duty to the community. Do away with the gender and party-based politics. These party and gender-based politics have become a major set of divides in ideology, liberal versus conservative, or Democrat versus Republican. These divides are impedances to effective policy. For example, party politics have led to the Black American community to putting itself on the back burner for the benefit of immigration, LGBTQ, private multinational corporations, faith-based initiatives, gender-exclusive initiatives, and foreign interests. We want to focus on policy only, not party or gender. So how about that? Let's start with older Black people not being too interested or having apathy for what's going on. Because in the initiative, it says the rising sentiment is older Black American males who think it's not their responsibility. They become uncaring, unconcerned, or apathetic. Is that part of it?
Part of it is because we got away from a village and we believed in the subterfuge of rugged individualism. Like, I made it by myself. Why can't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? It's kind of impossible to do that if you're barefoot, right?
Yeah.
Once again, it goes back into the statement made earlier. Are Black boys the forgotten children? How many years have you heard me talk about the three things the Black community don't give a fuck about? Do you know what they are?
Well, the Black community don't give a shit about children. I know that.
Black boys, number one, Black boys. Black boys. Number two, education. Number three, the heroes of their own narrative. Older people just,
well, when you say older people, what do you mean when you say older people? Do you mean the boomers, the Gen Xers?
It could be Gen Xers and boomers. I mean, I got love for both, but a lot of them just looked at the young people and be like, instead of teaching them, and they're like, oh no, the police need to come lock them up. Well, if you actually taught them while they were young, you probably wouldn't have this issue that you have with you now. Once again, you're no longer a village, you're just an individual. You don't give a damn anymore. That's why you have so many people come here spewing, I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, I'm a this. No. I'm going to take my family out the community. Cool. You have the right to do so, but you take them out of one danger, you put them into another. We think that we can ruggedly do things on our own, and we think the world's going to look at us different as an individual. No, Black people, especially Black men, never had the luxury of being looked at as an individual. You're all going to be treated the same, even with your little so-called white friends. A lot of you just never had the guts to ask them, what if I got angry? And watch somebody is the first you get angry at your job, how quickly will they call the police?
Yeah, you fuck around and buck up something, they might, think you're gonna do something insane. But I mean, when it comes to organizing and mentoring folks, I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know how to to get that started? Like, I mean, what do? Do they walk out of their house and knock on everybody's door that live on the block and say, "Hi, my name is such and such. Do you have any young boys for me to mentor?" So it's not going to be one of those kind of things, right?
Sometimes you just have to talk to people. I think that saying it like that is just asinine. It's just that
Hmm.
if you have any children, here's a flyer for our mentorship program. If you have any questions, my number is here. I'll give you the list of my background. Everybody who's a mentor has their fingerprints and their background check. And it goes back into this. Look, the only time black people wanna have a mentorship program is when they want to get a free day away from their fucking kids.
Yeah.
That's the only time. We don't really consider, okay, what am I gonna put into this child's head to make him great? No, we don't think about the future. We're horrible. We really think gynocentric. We're woman led and woman thinking.
Yeah. We think the kids are never going to grow up and our ass ain't going to never get old. But don't you think it would be better, right? Maybe this is just me. This is the way I think. I mean, mentorship programs are fine. The young folks get mentored. I don't have a problem with that. But I think that, especially when it comes to young boys, and I'm very biased when it comes to young boys, if there's a young boy in a family and his father has made it painfully obvious that he don't want to be bothered with this boy, he's out of this boy's life, I think that the onus on having some type of male influence on this child is up to the older males in that child's
Hold
family.
up, hold up. I gotta stop you right there. One, that rarely happens. But two, a lot of people don't want to put the blame on the mother because a lot of times the mother don't want the goddamn man around.
Mm.
They'll take the baby because the baby bring benefits. If those
Yeah,
babies
but
ain't bring benefits, you think she would be a mother? No.
yeah, yeah,
But
but what I'm saying is,
they're gonna
once
look at
this
it as
Negro, if this Negro's not around, and this obviously young boys need, they need male influence, they need male figures in their life. That boy's grandfather, that boy's uncle, that boy's older cousin can come in and kind of subsidize
nope,
some of that
nope,
male
nope,
energy.
nope. But you know why? She's gonna be the biggest hindrance.
Mm.
Do you think she got rid of one male? What the fuck you think she's gonna do with another? Let's be real casual about it. These women don't respect masculinity. I'm just gonna put it out there. They don't. They think they could do it all by themselves. The only time they want the grandfather, the cousin, or the uncle to come in is when he's not too big to intimidate or beat on anymore.
Mm.
And that's what many of the times it is. If you really think the average black mother gives a fuck about what their son does, the average, you got some who out there care, the very few, but the average don't. Why do you think they'll have it by the worst possible men? You having a baby by a guy who doesn't want to be in the baby's life. At first,
And
I used to be thinking like, well, this Negro don't, a lot of these niggas ain't shit. Till you really have to look at the mama. So where did you go find this nigga? Nobody ever asked that about the mama. Where were you fucking? Oh, you walked in the club and you were fucking. And this guy you met one time. I've been on calls where you have a domestic violence issue and the girl didn't even know the man's real name.
wow, now that's insane.
So I can't. A lot of the times, even if you get into a relationship, how many of these women keep their kids away from the man? When
But
we when
that's
we look at
part of the problem, though, right? I mean, because I think a lot of these boys who get out on the streets and go to jail and go to prison and shoot folks and end up shot in the street themselves, I think a lot of these young fellas' lives would have been different if they had males in their lives, if they had a father in their life, if they had male influence in their life, if they had a lot of these boys' lives would be different, man. Would all of these boys' lives have changed? That may not necessarily be the case, but I think the vast majority of these brothers who find themselves, in prison, on drugs, in the streets, selling dope, carrying guns, doing all this kind of bullshit, I think a lot of them wouldn't be there, man, if they had a father in their life. I truly believe that. A lot of them wouldn't be there, man. They just wouldn't. And a lot of them wouldn't be there if, the old mammy was the let the grandfather raise the boy, or the uncle raise the boy, or I mean, I think a lot of these
Part
boys are doomed,
part of that part of
from
that
their
is this.
onset.
Part of that is this. We always find reasons to alleviate mothers in our community from fucking responsibility. When you hold them accountable, no, you went out there and you threw your fucking pussy around like Nolan Ryan. Just like,
A lot of
but do
people
you
don't know
think
who Nolan Ryan is, man.
that's a, well, that's a 110-mile-per-hour fastball, baby.
Yep. Hall of Fame pitcher, y'all.
So,
Hall of Fame.
so when you go out there doing that, would a black man having a baby have the same excuses given to him? Hell and no. So I'm sorry. If I got to be an asshole to the man, I'm going to be a bigger asshole to you because you got 33 different types of contraceptives. You even got a morning after. They made life so comfortable for you that they gave you a morning after pill.
Yeah.
You chose for this baby to come here. You chose to be a single mother. No, I'm sorry. I'm one of those people who have the knowledge. I don't even believe I know. You chose to be a single mother because why? If you wanted to be a wife, you would have married before you carried. And then you want the grandfather, and the only thing you're going to do is when the grandfather, the uncle, or the cousin come in there, you want to dictate how he teaches masculinity to that boy. That does not work.
Yeah, it doesn't. That definitely doesn't work. That definitely does not work.
Now, you just don't, you need fathers, but you need fathers who was in that goddamn house. If the father cannot raise them, why, why on earth do you think she's going to give all that authority to one another man?
Well, the boys are going to be doomed then. I mean, if the father's not around, he's missing, he's in jail, he's dead, or she don't know who he is, what
Or
does
she
this
just
young
keeps,
what does this young boy
or she
have
keeps them
left?
away, or she keeps them away, which is the majority of the cases, by the way. It's not the father. When you really study this shit, it's not the father abusing the kids mostly. It's not the father staying away. It's the fact that she keeps them away. They're
Yeah.
bad pickers of men. Or if they pick a good one, they don't want him. They just want his resource. Why do you think they all would rather go to City Hall to go get child support and not get married?
Yeah.
If
But
you
the
really
boys,
want to think about it, marriage would solve a lot of your fucking issues in the
oh, of
black
course it
community.
would. Of course it would. Of course it would. But a lot of these young boys are going to be doomed for those reasons. She's keeping the boy away from his father. Um, and as you say, if she's not going to let the father have anything to do with the child, she probably won't let the grandfather, uncle, anybody else. So she's basically writing a doomed destiny for this boy, because we know boys have a tendency to do better when they have male influence in their life, and
And then
she's making sure that isn't there. So she's got him destined to doom now, for the most part,
think
because he's
about it.
more likely to flop without his father or any other males around him.
Who do you think's more likely to tell their kid if the kid gets 5 scholarships to college? Who do you think's more likely to tell the kid, "No, I'm gonna be all alone," the father or the mother?
Don't you go get no education, boy, and leave
There
me
was, there
here.
was there was a kid in Baltimore, right? He had the opportunity to go to 5 different schools, 5 different scholarship opportunities. The mama kept badgering him, "Oh, I'll be all alone," and all this other shit. So he decided not to go. He gets into some shit. He gets locked up for 2 years.
Mm,
Now he's trying to make his life trying to turn his life around. He's still making strides, but yeah, it's a lot harder. Men are not needy for that attention. They'll be like, man, if you don't get the fuck out of here and and live your life and be a man.
Yeah.
It's always mom who, in a lot of cases, whether she's conscious or subconsciously doing it, you don't need to go to the army. Go work in Giants in the supermarket. Would she say that to her daughter? And
It's
I've asked
crazy.
women on panels all this time. I've always asked them this one question. Do you think black women love their sons in this country? He says, yes. Okay. How can you love something if only 10% of that thing you love, only 10% of it can read on level? She said, you can't. Exactly. We throw away the word love just like we do friend, like the word goat, greatest of all time. We throw that around to so many people. Just like love and being a provider, a teacher to a child. What are you doing? A lot of parents think putting you in name brand clothes and buying you some expensive tennis is raising a child.
Yeah. Food,
So
water, clothes, and house, they raising you.
that's called maintaining you. What's the one thing you gotta learn? What are you gonna learn? And that's the scary part. Nobody wants to ask these ugly, ugly questions to the society. Like, yo, this kid is failing. We had the Baltimorean chick. Her son had a .31 average. Not even a whole percentile or a whole point. And the mother said, I didn't know he was failing. You didn't notice he
Yeah.
was leaving school. You didn't ask for a report card in 4 years. And this sorry ass school system was gonna pass him.
Yeah. I remember that story. I
What
remember.
college was gonna accept him? What military service was gonna accept him? See, a lot of people try to talk about the military with this the safety and the pay. Bullshit. That's a bullshit excuse. Because you get paid not only your base pay, but for certifications and degrees you get. But here's the question. We always talk about the safety, but but we always statistically forget you're much safer on military bases. Didn't even Why don't she just tell the truth? She didn't care.
Yeah. She didn't care, man. Because he was like a teenager and all this time, it's not like he just now wasn't able to read, write, or count. I mean, he couldn't read, write, or count when he was young, when he was 6, 7, 8, 9. So, now you're going to try to act like you don't know now that he's 14. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. It wasn't like he could read, write, and count all the way up to his 14th birthday. He woke up on his 14th birthday and he was freaking illiterate and couldn't do math and shit. She never cared. She never cared. All right.
If
She
anything,
never cared.
if anything, you were treated like a burden.
I just don't get it,
Think about
man.
it.
But
In the black community, the boys are the only boys in the world that have man problems thrust upon them. Mom complaining to you about how high the rent is, how this much costs, how much that costs. Motherfucker, don't you work?
yeah,
But yet, you got these kids growing up with all these responsibilities. I'm gonna buy my mother a house. Did you ever hear Eli or Peyton Manning say they're gonna buy their mother a house?
and
No.
and it's crazy because you have these kids, they grow up in these dysfunctional, poor ass homes where they don't have a lot, And like you said, the burden is placed on them, to get out there, grow up, get rich, get money, and do all the shit for mama that mama never did for them. Provide them stability, provide them with a car, provide them with a nice crib, provide them with a bunch of clothes, and provide them with the lifestyle that they never even provided for the kid. I think it's not only does it put a lot of stress and strain on a child, but I think it also puts a child in a position that a child shouldn't be in, because a child shouldn't be thinking about growing up taking care of mama, because mama black ass can't take care of her damn self. And I think that's kind of what we get wrapped up in as black folks. A lot of us, oh, I'm gonna buy my mama a house, I'm gonna buy my mama a car, I'm gonna buy. That's what her husband's supposed to have been for. All
Exactly.
right. When I moved out of my parents' house, I didn't have to worry about buying my mom's a house, because guess what? My father had already did it. So I
And I'm
mean,
not saying don't do nice stuff for your mom, but you're being placed with husband level shit. Like, I have no problem giving you money, buying you gifts, but to buy you a house, look at Kevin Durant's mom. She had you as young. Then she had more of you, which means you're in further poverty with each kid. And she's
mhm,
the MVP? How?
yeah. How?
How? Well, she supported him. What? Did she shoot in the gym with him? If anything, a lot of mothers will tell you not to go to practice because they piss with you.
Yeah. And plus, you're a parent, so you're supposed to support your kid. It's not like, you're doing this so just in case he become a millionaire, he can buy your ass a house. I mean, you're supposed to be doing this for the simple fact that you're a parent. I mean, support the kid. Because you hear people say that, right? Oh, well, she could have killed him. She kept him. She this and that. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, you have the kid. Now that the kid is here, you got to raise the kid, rear the kid, take care of the kid, feed the kid, house the kid, clothe the kid, support the kids, and whatever extracurricular activities they have, whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of times what these women want, they want credit for fucking taking care of children that they fucked and had. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, you don't get no award for breathing. All right. You don't get an award for breathing. I mean, you had these kids, you were supposed to fucking take care of them. You can't now turn around and use that as a weapon and say, well, I took care of you, so you need to buy me a mansion too. What the fuck are you talking about?
And you got to
It's
look at it.
insane.
You got to look at it. You're damned if you do, and you're certainly damned if you don't as a black male. If another black male don't school you, I always said, look at Ramirez from the Highlander movie. He could have easily killed Connor,
Mm,
but what did he do? He trained him. Why do you think I'm coming out with my line that says, my brother, my champion, my savior? You're all you got.
it's just crazy, man. I mean,
And if you're
I just,
blessed with a good mother and a good father, thank God Almighty and the ancestors.
yeah, yeah,
But a lot of young black men, you on your fucking own. You have an uphill battle. You are that
yeah,
nigga trying to ice skate uphill.
yeah. Especially if you got an irresponsible ass mother, forget it. You definitely on your fucking own.
Mm-hmm. And think about it. Nothing's more heartbreaking until you get on a call and the daughter wants to be with her father and the mother constantly refuses. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, you're gonna have to let that girl be with her dad. Why? Because if you don't, less than a year, you're gonna be a grandmother.
Yeah,
But I'll take all these medications because I'm stressed out with these kids. Ma'am, if that was true, you would give her the heartbeat.
it's crazy, man.
I said, you
But I
can lie
want
to anybody you want, but can't lie to me.
Yeah, I wanna jump down to here because we're gonna close out soon. It says getting organized. In some instances, you may want to get involved, but don't know where to start. Getting organized is really quite simple. The difficulty is in the commitment. Here are some steps to help you get organized. One, have your big idea, which is the main objective of your mission. In the groundwork of organizing, creating a list of bullet points, list of what your main objective entails. Two, seek out other individuals and pitch your idea with the intent of attracting allies to you. This group of individuals become the brain trust. Three, find a central location for the brain trust to meet on a routine basis, and you and those individuals must be fully committed to these regular meetings for the sole purpose of creating new and inventive ideas that will be used to achieve the main objective. This gives you a chance to identify specific strengths and weaknesses of your brain trust. Four, pooling resources, whether it is financial or sweat equity, for the purpose of creating a financial pool. At this point, pooled financial resources should be used to create programs or host events for the purpose of bringing people together in order to expand your base, which brings in more financial resources. Five, assign and allocate tasks amongst members to create a successful campaign. In organizing, it is an ongoing campaign to create a support base, which require the workload to be spread out. By now, you should know everyone's strengths and weaknesses and assign tasks to each member according to their strengths. This process can be used to supplement the gaps between the institutions and the community, such as after school programs for tutoring, study groups, book clubs, debate teams, youth camps for Black American children. Archery clubs, financial education classes, community activism, entrepreneurship courses, wrestling and other martial arts programs, etc. The possibilities are endless, and they're possibilities we can control. So, how about that, Brother Faulkner? Is there a lack of organization going on? And shout out to Lionel Player One with the $5 super chat. He said, "Nah, we owe our mother for the things we didn't ask for, wanted, or knew we were supposed to pay back." This is sarcasm. I know, brother. I know. I appreciate that, brother Lionel. You get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform. Yeah, man, because I just don't agree, man, that you owe your damn parents for raising you. Shit, they decided to bring you here. How are you? How did you run up a tab by being here when they're the ones who brought you here? Like, how am I? Oh, I ran up a tab with my life, the life that you decided to give me this life, but the whole time I've been alive, I've been running up a tab of shit that's old. Like, come on, man. Nah, I don't believe in that shit. I think if you want to do nice things for your parents, you can and you should. But I don't think you're obligated to do it for the simple fact that they had you and raised you. I mean, they had you. What the fuck were they supposed to do? They were supposed to raise you, right? You weren't supposed to raise yourself. So I just don't agree with that. Oh, you gotta take care of your mama. Hell no, man. When I left my parents' house, I never had to take care of my mom. I didn't have to start doing things for her till after my father died. And even then, I didn't buy her a house or buy her a car. I would come there, fix the step, fix the floor, put a starter in her car, that kind of shit. But I just don't think I don't think the onus is on the children, man, to take care of the parents, especially the mama. All right. That's what her ass get a husband for. All right. So they can sit both of their old asses on the porch and drink lemonade and have their false teeth in a jar. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to have children and our ass get older and now we got to rely on our children's money to survive. Like, come on, man. Come on. I would be like so ashamed if I had to rely on my children to pay my bills. I had to rely on my children for a house. I had to rely on my children for a car. What? Come on, man. Come on. And most men, we don't want that shit from our children. We don't want our children to give us shit. We don't want them to give us money, buy us a house or buy us a car. We don't want that shit, man. We don't want it. The average man don't want your children to do anything. You know what the average man wants his children to do? Do the things they need to do to take care of them and their families if they have one. That's what. All right? That's what men want our children to do. We don't expect to live off of our children's earnings, no matter how big those earnings are. Okay? We just don't expect it. You know? And I just heard it's got a message from Professor Cerulean. He said he's just getting home.
Oh, man.
He said he's just getting home. And let me see. He said, I may have to select another day. I had no idea we're going to go as long as we did. Maybe a private session or something pre-recorded. Yeah, we could do that too, I guess. Yeah, he got caught up. He's doing something out there.
That's a busy man. Shout out to the professor. Sometimes, like when you text me, I was in the gym and I was like, okay, what time?
Yeah.
I'm glad I was looking at my phone that time, because in the middle of the workout, I wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get at least one of you on here. You know, I mean, I was going to go through it anyway, but it's just better if I had. Would have been nice to have both of you here. That would have been nice.
And I want to tell this part. In no shape am I anti-black women. No, it's just that I'm gonna put it to you this way. You know, it's another big L that black men don't understand, that we're often heartbroken. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're heartbroken. We put so much faith in our women. We put so much faith to them saying, you got my back. And then when you looked at it politically, educationally, and even socially, you have to come to the strict realization that a lot of them don't, unfortunately. That's the reason why the motto is my brother, my champion, my savior over at my channel. We do have good women in the manosphere who are subscribed to you and I. Well, you and me, proper English. But if we could clone them women, or we had more like them, we would have an abundance of overachievers, both black female and black male. But you know, we get the separation, because if there's so many black women who hate us only because they see themselves when they see me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They hate their blackness so much, only because they think that if they can transcend blackness, they can truly sit the life of Miss Ann. Almost 80% of women gotta work. Gone are the days of the housewife. Sorry. Your black man is probably the greatest man. It's definitely the greatest man on earth. To overcome what he's done, how do you name anybody else in the world who came from being a slave to an equal of the ruling class?
Yeah.
That's
I
my
just
boy.
think
That's my
there's
boy.
a lot of things. There's a lot of things to consider, man. And you know, I just thought even back then, man, that a lot of these things in this initiative, man, that, you know, if this shit was applied, man, you would see changes in like 10 years, 5 to 10 years. You would see shit, man.
And that was the time that we gave. 10 years. Give me 100,000 boys every year. In the military, police, firefighters, STEM, and the skilled trades. If you gave me 10 years, I would change damn near almost overnight the stereotype of black men. Every time I see a black man, he's in a uniform in a position of power. But
Well, let me ask you this, brother Faulkner, because you out there, you're literally in the streets. I mean, you out there in the middle of it and shit. Have you seen in your travels? Have you seen any of the things within this initiative? Have you seen any of it taking place anywhere? Maybe not just in your city. You know, when you travel and go other places, have you
I've
seen
seen it
any of it?
because, like 2 of my cousins and my nephew are back at active duty. 2 of my cousins just made sergeant. I've seen guys who were in a Boy Scout troop, and they became military personnel and the reserves, and they took the oath to become cops full time. I've seen guys in college. After speaking to them, I said, "Look, you're brilliant. You'll make a great officer in the military." And he's a second lieutenant now, about to make first. I see it. Now, is it on the level that I would like it to be? No. But at least it's a start.
Hmm.
I've seen the project, what's the part, Lotto? Beat the Streets with wrestling, where Jordan Burroughs, who's a 6-time world Olympic champion, came down to train young black boys in wrestling, just fresh off the Olympic win. Okay? I've seen these things. I've seen Beat the Streets take a lot of young black boys off and teach them wrestling, teach them STEM. Where do we support organizations like that? We rather support a kid when they're damn near about to go to jail or just coming out, than we support the kid going into the military or coming out of college graduating. Think about it. We'll throw more parties for niggas coming out of jail than going to college or the military or STEM or excuse me, or going to the labor field, the skilled labor field. We have to put an emphasis on black excellence and greatness, or we're going to lose that black sense of mind. But yes, I've seen it. You look at my boy Darren and myself, aka Biggs. We're Baltimoreans to the core. We're not supposed to be successful. Okay? He works for the federal government. He's not. He's married. He's been married longer than George and Martha Washington. Owns a house with him and his wife. And they have their kids. Guess what? He's not supposed to have that. He's a living example of the Gray FAULKNER Initiative before it was even named. You feel me? It's a lot of success stories that we as black men need to start telling, because somebody needs to listen to that narrative and become the hero. Sometimes you may be the hero to not only your story but somebody else's. But that greater than our shit, that's got to be cut out. That division that we have, that's got to be cut out. Because at the end of the day, the world will just look at you all the same as what? One big nigga.
One big nigga. Well, let me read this last paragraph. And this talks about conflict resolution, and it says conflict resolution is imperative to make progress. Conflict is a grave impotence, but it's an impotence that we can remove ourselves. It requires no policy or long legislative process. It requires no license or degree. All it requires is effort. There should be a concerted effort by 2 conflicting persons or parties within the Black American community to resolve almost any conflict. This can be employed in the help hunter strategy or in the 5 steps to getting organized. After your organized body has established itself, in fact, many Black American community-based organizations revolve around conflict resolution to maximize things like intercultural crime and gun violence. and often act as mediators between two conflicting persons or groups. However, it is incumbent on members of the Black American community to get involved to help minimize conflicts within the community. We want to re-empathize. This is not a perfect plan, but it is a plan, and doing nothing is not a solution or an option. And that brings us to the bottom of the great FAULKNER Initiative. So what about that? Quickly, Brother FAULKNER, is there any space for conflict resolution in those cities where brothers is dying by the dozens every damn weekend?
There are some holier than thou spaces. You know, the old mom and pop's barbershop, the old sometimes the gym, which is like, you know, in Highlander, holy ground. It's various places that we hold sacred and respect. Sometimes it's a playground because we see kids. See, the problem is this. I think a lot of Black men need to watch the movie, The Godfather Saga, and study it for the military science that it holds. Sometimes, in order to get your way, you must make a call for peace. And when you actually teach conflict resolution in sacred ground, it gives Black men hope. Like, okay, there's another way to handle this. We don't always have to go to violence. Sometimes you need to fall down. And here's the craziest part. We need to actually look into these organizations and say, are you truly my brother? And that's the part where we got to look. We got to reestablish true brotherhood. If not, enjoy what you're doing now.
Yeah. I just look, when I look out and I see, you know, when I see people, man, and, you know, like the other day, you know, I knew that I was going to do this, and I happened to be coming down the street, man, and I saw a bunch of guys standing around, and they looked like they were young. They looked like they were, I don't know, 15, 16, whatever. And it was 1:00 in the afternoon. And I'm saying to myself, these dudes should be in school some fucking way. These dudes should be, you know, they shouldn't be here. And you see that a lot, right? You know, you see these freaking 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 groups of young Black men. You don't really see young Black women like that, you know, like in groups hanging outside of a store. It's
And I
always
can tell you why. Because one, schools are gynocratic by nature. They're mostly woman ran. So being a male and being a boy with all that testosterone, it makes you fidgety, it gives you energy, makes you more aggressive. You know, anybody with a rudimentary level of biology would know this, but you're in a room full of teachers and nobody gets to know this shit. The only time you're rewarded in school these days if you're feminine, if you're effeminate. So a lot of that does not speak well to the soul of young men, and particularly young Black men. So a lot of them are going to be on other places. So what happened from actually expanding school from outside of school and actually going outside and looking at how you could use real world scenarios to change your life and the life of others? Well, how does this guy make money from a business? Well, you got to learn the mathematics of how he does it. Why don't you bring in Black accountants, like a Black Uber, to teach this, and then go to an office to see this is how accountants get down? Why don't we go to the mechanic shops out there? And that's the one thing about it. We need to actually make more male dominated schools in areas like the good professor wrote. If we do not, you're going to have an abundance of dropouts. That school system is not made for boys. I'm going to say it again. The school system is not designed, nor was it made for boys. It was anti-masculinity from the start. when the greatest number of boys ever made in this country were the baby boomers. Okay? These motherfuckers, along with some of the silent generation, changed the course of history in America. In order to prevent further changes, they started to tamp down the boys. So it's been planned for years, man. You're going to need and to support all black male schools. Just like when Gabe said, well, black women are not the enemy. What about in 91 in Detroit when it was a black feminist lawyer who got an all black male school shut down because of the fact that it wasn't fair, it was sexist. But she even wrote in her little diatribe that if those boys learn masculinity and learn patriarchy, it's going to spell trouble for feminists. But now she's the type of chick who's going to say, where did all the men go? You killed them all. You destroyed them mentally. So you're not going to get the men on your level to marry or for your daughter to marry. That's if you even have a child. See, women are not made on this earth to think long term. If you ever notice, how many chicks you know are homeless when the child support runs out?
Well, I've never thought that black society was, during my time, coming up. I never saw black society as, a working apparatus that actually helped, black men.
Wow.
It was always black men, because I'm a Gen Xer, and coming up, it was always other black men that were helping, young black men. It was black men giving them jobs. It was, your father teaching you how to do X, Y, and Z. It was, black men, training brothers and doing that kind of shit. It was never black women, of course not. And it was never really society on the whole. I mean, any black men that I saw get help coming up, that help always came via another black man, especially when you were talking about young black males. I mean, that help always came from black men, man. Nobody else, definitely not black women. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I think we can, if we were to get back to that, which I don't think we are. I don't think we're going to get back to the time where, you actually got black men who are stepping in and helping other black men on a grand scale en masse. I just don't see it. I think it'll happen in small pockets of the society, and those small pockets will make a difference. But I just don't think it's going to be this grand movement of, especially when you're talking about older black folks that we talked about earlier, older black folks, Gen Xers, boomers, they've lived their life, they've achieved whatever they're going to achieve, and they're living in their golden years. So a lot of them, they're not even concerned with the development of
No.
of black young men or black society in a whole, for that matter, because
If anything, they're looked at as a threat. A lot
yeah.
of people look at young black men as a threat automatically. I mean, I just got off of watching when Angry Man had Tasha TKO's reaction video to Beyonce's mom having a documentary of how the country sees black men. A lot of them always say that black men who the same size, same clothing, they look more muscular and dangerous. But if you look at it statistically, majority of your aggravated assaults are by white men. Majority of your sex offenses are by white men. But yet, how do we get stuck with the 52% of murders? That's impossible for the numbers. And I'll debunk that another day, but
Yeah.
it's the image of black men. That's the imagery of black men that hurts us the most. Not even what black men do. It's what black men are perceived to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Think
as
about
a black man, you're always going to be, looked at a particular way depending on where you are. I mean, that just kind of comes with being a black man. So, You know, I mean, especially if you're a black man of some size. I mean, like, cause I dealt with it a lot. Cause I'm not a super big guy, but I'm 6'2". All right, and I weigh about 230 pounds, so I'm not a little guy. So when you come into places and there's some times where people give you that look. You can kind of feel the change of the environment at times, but I think I think at times we kind of I think we kind of we overplay it at times, or we read too much into it because we think it's just us. But usually, if they're looking at you like that, they're probably looking at the next brother like that, and looking at the brother who
Yeah.
came in before you like that too. Um, I think at times, oh, it's just me. They only treat me, the black guy, this way. No, they treat all. If they're treating you that way, they probably treat all the Negroes that come in there the same way. So I think that often affects us at times because we read too much into it because we think it's just us. And you know, and I think I believe we let racism rent too much space in our head for too long. Um, I definitely think that a lot of us we think racism is under every tree, behind every rock, under every carpet, behind every door, and in the trunk of all our cars. I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't believe that shit at all. Um, but as a black man, I understand that racism isn't going anywhere. All right. I say this all the time. We're not going to wake up one day and it's going to be like, dan, breaking news, racism is dead. No, racism isn't going anywhere. What I think that we as black people and as black men, we need to understand that racism exists. And what we need to do is figure out how to circumnavigate around, over, or through said racism. Um, I think racism should be used as a motivator. All right. I was taught to use it as a motivator. I was never taught to use racism as something to be weary of or afraid of or none of that shit. I was always taught to use this racism shit as a motivator to do more, have more, put myself in a better position. And I think more of us need to do that. We can acknowledge that racism exists, but I just think we put a lot of weight on fucking racism, and a lot of the shit that happens to black people don't have shit to do with racism. A lot of it has to do with our unwillingness to take the leap, man, to take the chance. It's not always racism that holds black people back, and I think that's a message that gets pushed a lot. That the only thing that holds people back is racism. Bullshit. There's a lot of other shit that hold black people back too, man. Can't let them get away with that shit. It ain't just racism, Negroes. It's other shit too. But we're gonna go ahead, man, and wrap this up because we done creeped up on the 2 hour and 57 minute mark. 3 hours and just ran by, y'all. Any parting shots before we get up out of here, Brother Faulkner?
Another pleasure, another win. Woo!
Yeah,
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes. Put your channel in the chat, man, and put the link to the Great FAULKNER Initiative in the chat, if you will, sir. I do believe you have a rent, so go ahead, spam your channel, spam the link to because brothers need to read it, man. They need to read it.
I
They
mean,
need to read it.
I remember when we first came out with it, there was a lot of opposition against it.
Mm-hmm.
And now people need it more than ever.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Maybe we'll revisit again in another couple of years, man, to see if any of these tenets of the initiative have taken place anywhere that we can point to. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you coming on, man. I was hoping to get the professor on too, but he got tied up. I guess next time maybe me and him will do something because he said something about doing a pre-record. So maybe me and him will pre-record something and I'll just run it as a premiere. I don't know, something like that. So just hit me up, Professor, when you get right. I got a lot of respect for both of you, Brother FAULKNER. But y'all said y'all are going to update the initiative, right? Y'all are going to change it.
Not only are we going to update it, we're also welcoming anybody's critique and added input because it's a fluid plan. We always said we never wanted it to be static, and the sheer brilliance, especially on the professor's part, is that we leave suggestions open. You can contact either him or myself, and we will take your critiques, positive and negative, and very strong. You know, um, excuse me, and we'll take it and we'll drive on from that.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta get the professor in here at some point, to get him to talk about it as well. And when y'all update it, man, please let me know, man, so I can get an updated copy.
Okay, will do.
Please let me know, man. I appreciate you, brother Faulkner, as always, my brother.
Thank you. Woo. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Woo, Negroes. Yeah, just got off the line, man, with brother Faulkner. We just did like a quick overview because the initiative is really lengthy, y'all. I mean, we would have been up here till like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I just kind of skimmed through it, but I put it in the chat. You can go ahead, download it. It is downloadable to get on your own computer, man. Take a look at it. Brother Faulkner said they're going to be doing an updated version of it at some point, and I'm probably gonna get my copy before you Negroes get your damn copy. Before you get your copy, I'll probably have mine already. But yeah, man, I just want to say, man, that the Great Faulkner Initiative, man, they came out with it about 4 years ago, and when I saw it, I thought it was great. All right, I thought it was a great thing. If it was implemented, it would be a great thing. And I told them back then, I said, it's a great plan, man. It's a great initiative. My only concern is that it's Gray Faulkner writing it. That's what's going to keep people from listening to it. If it was I think I said back then, if it was the Jay-Z Lil Wayne initiative, people might read it. If it was the Cardi B Nicki Minaj initiative, people might read it. But because it's Professor Cerulean and brother Faulkner, people may not take it serious. I said it back then, and I decided to revisit it because I thought it should be talked about again. It had been a while since they've been on here, about 3 years, I believe, 3 or 4 years since they had been on here. And I wanted to hash it back up, man, and get it back out in the ethos, man. And who knows, man, maybe when they come up with the updated copy, people will see it and read it and see that there's things in it, man, that are actually beneficial to folk. It's actually beneficial to folk, man. So like I said, man, I put it in the chat. Y'all go ahead, man, download your copy, man, and read over it and tell me what you think, man. Go ahead and put it, in the comment section if you want to. Tell me what you think of the Great Faulkner Initiative, brothers. But before we get out of here, y'all know I gotta hit y'all in the head with T.P.O.T's programming notes, Negroes. Yeah, it's time for programming notes. So let me go ahead and take this damn thing off of here. Yeah, it's time for programming notes, Negroes. Because we're not doing anything tomorrow. I don't think we're doing nothing tomorrow. I don't have anything booked. But Friday, very special show, Friday night. Lady Toya will be here. And those of you who may not know, Lady Toya is the child of a guest on. Damn, I got 2 TVs playing at once. Hold on. Why can't I turn this off? Not letting me turn it off, y'all. Why is that still on? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Bam. There it is. Now, Lady Toya will be here Friday. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Toya the tutor, but she will be here Friday. I was actually trying to get her and her mom on. I was trying to get both of them on, but I don't think her mom is going to be able to make it, but she's going to be here. And for those of you who don't know, Lady Toya has a history in television because when she was younger, I believe this was in the 90s, I believe, Lady Toya was on a talk show with her mom, and her mom was a guest on the Rolanda show. And Lady Toya was there too. All right. Lady Toya was there too. Now, many of us, we have referred to this Rolanda show because the title of the show was Where Are All the Good Black Men, I believe. And, you know, they had black women up there talking about, you know, how there are not many men out there to marry, blah, 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 et cetera, fill in the blank. So Friday, Lady Toya will be here, man. And she'll be talking about mothers and daughters here and now, and we'll go into it because she was there. I'm going to be asking her about, you know, when she was on the Rolanda show, what she think about what her mother was saying then. What does her mother say now? What does she think then? What does she think now? So it's going to be a pretty good show, man. You know, something new, because we, you know, we always moving furniture around here. I told y'all going to start seeing some faces here that you don't normally see, and I'm going to stick to my word. So make sure you hear, man. Friday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, man. Lady Toya will be here, man, and she'll be talking mothers and daughters here and now, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. Yeah, so that's what we got lined up for this week. Negroes, that's what we got lined up. So yeah, tomorrow we taking the day off. We ain't doing shit tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow ain't doing nothing. Plus, tomorrow's a big day for me anyway, man. Tomorrow, because usually on Thursdays, man, I do paperwork, but I gotta leave out of this motherfucker in the morning because I got some pain in the ass shit to do tomorrow, y'all. Like, when I'll probably be gone all day and probably close into the night anyway. So it's a good thing that I don't have anything planned for tomorrow because I probably wouldn't have been feeling it worth a shit anyway. I just wouldn't have. But yeah, man, it was good, man, to have Brother Faulkner on, man. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get the Professor Cerulean on at some point. I'm going to try, folks, at some point to get him on here. Yeah, at some point, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make it happen, y'all. I promise. All right. But once again, man, shout out, man, to everybody, man, who came here, man, and hung out with us, man. You could have been anywhere on a Wednesday night, man. But you decided to be here, man. And it's appreciated, man. You know, I appreciate all the cash apps and the super chats, man. But most importantly, man, I appreciate your participation more than anything else. I don't take you good folks lightly, man. I never have and I never will. You got my word on that. Yeah. So Friday, man, we'll be here. And I got some stuff coming up for next week. Just, I haven't totally, mapped it all out yet. But like I said, man, you're going to start seeing some new faces on here, man. Start hearing some new perspectives, see some new people, man, and hear some different ideas, man. And if y'all got a problem with that, man, I get it. But, you might as well just stop watching my shit, man, because it ain't going to change, man. We're going to be doing some different shit here. You're going to see some different people, some new people, some people that you ain't seen here in a while. We're going to shake it up, man. We're going to shake it up, and hopefully, you know, we shake some things up, man, and you good folks like it, all right? All right. Shout out once again, man, to Brother Faulkner for coming through, man, on short notice, too. Very short notice and shit, you know. It's always good, man, to have brothers' phone numbers, man. That's always a good thing to have brothers' phone numbers. So, with that, I will leave you good folks with 3 words. You know, like I always do. Open your mind.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, see, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost at $1 billion. 3 PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hears these sirens and looks in the mirror and sees this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the price of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passing by, he said, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, Paul. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Why do you think you never pick up the paper until you leave over and over and see white families? You think of the thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families crying as black cops shot my loved one 42 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops are that? You think they're more spiritual? Think they're better? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and we said, if we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that anytime a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license just like you to drive a car. And if you use it wrongly, you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to protect you? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, if we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, huh? Well, what happens now? Fifth Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Westinghouse. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
Happy. San Antonio, Lincoln 6. Go ahead. Clear suspect down, 10-4. That's 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have one suspect that's been shot.
Open your mind. Only from T.P.O.T. Media. Open your mind.